Hello, and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho, your host. Today is Friday, July 3rd, the day before the holiday, and it's 1:15 p.m. We're in here early, and we're hopping into some best ball drafts. Underdog dropped a few contests today. We are set to get it going. But first, let's hear the intro. Yo, nice little pop-up stream, but still the notification gang is here. What's up, Scott? How we doing? Money ain't a thing in here as well. Hopefully, if y'all want to hop into this contest, we can do it together. The one that appeals to me most is the Chihuahua. And this one, I wouldn't be shocked if it fills the fastest. It's the most typical format that we're used to in terms of scoring and roster settings. And the final size is not too bad, only 217 people. 1 of 9 and 1 out of 16 after the typical 2 out of 12. I'm here for it. No countdown today. I'm just hopping into the Chihuahua. If you want to join, come on down. One spot left. One spot for someone that wants it. But A-Rod's in the house. Yo, what up? Hallie Line as well. Hey, how we doing? Excited for this one. Looks like A-Rod got it. Looks like A-Rod is in here at pick 3. Good luck to you. I'm happy we get a slightly unique lobby. Some unfamiliar names. I at least don't enter the lobby before we start live streaming. I give you a chance, but only one spot today, and this one should be fun. But I pulled the 111. Definitely a spot we like. Who Hames? What's up, fam? How we doing? Early today on Friday? You know, it's funny. You're usually not going live, and I always have plans with my girlfriend in the evening, so I have been taking up the earlier spot, but I recognize today pretty much everyone has the day off, so it's just going to be a lot of overlap. I don't know if I can get in later tonight, let alone even tomorrow, so I'm getting it in as early as I can, and I know you're going live later, but it just is what it is today, unfortunately. I will have to miss some of your broadcasts. Always love hopping into Who Hames channel. And if you missed it last night, we were on Drafters. Promo code WHO is the best deal. And appreciate you, brother. Enjoy your stream. And if you have the time to pop in, I have a feeling this draft will end right around the time you're getting ready to go live. So good luck in your lobbies today. And which contest do you prefer, Who Hames? I'm curious. Which contest? Looks like John Tara excited about the Superflex contest. We have a poll requesting our next draft and your preference. We are in the Chihuahua. That's my favorite of the ones that dropped today. The Mini Golden also just dropped. $2 single entry with 11,000 spots. That one might take a minute to fill. I could see that go up to like 4,000 super fast. And then once it gets to over like 8,000, it starts to trickle out. But who knows? We'll see. Your soothing sound, what's good in the hood? It's hot on the streets today. In LA, it's not too bad. Not too bad, but we're chilling over here. It is summertime. Can't escape it. July and August, those are the two months where it's the hottest you can expect, so not a surprise. But Genty's here. I'll just take Genty. My rank has him highest, but Hampton already off the board. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'd kind of be a little upset if I am stuck with Saquon or Ken Walker as my only option without the access to Genty. But you know who I've been trying to maybe mix in a little bit more? And I think could be excellent. I'm going to go Chase Brown here, who I think is just a really, really valuable player. As long as he's healthy, there's no competition at all. Chase Brown feels like a pretty obvious pick. It's just kind of a question of how much does the receiving work benefit you in half PPR. I'm not afraid to mix it in. I don't think I have many Genty Chase Brown combos. Typically, if I am reaching on Genty, I'm not pairing him with Chase Brown. And then typically, not everyone pulls him up to the true end of the second round. It's not the most unique thing. I've definitely seen it before, but I'm a little light on it, so I'll mix it in today. What's up, Nick Constantino? How we doing? And A-Rod saying, taking do not draft at 3 is... Taking do not draft at 3 if the RBs don't fall. So if I had to guess, your second pick right here is going to be someone that you typically do not draft. That's my understanding. The second round at the end and the top of the third, the 2-3 turn is actually pretty tough, especially if you don't need some of those receivers. Like if you start off Jamar Chase, Puka, yeah, to bite the bullet with Jeremiah always feels gross. Even in the third, I don't really think it's that valuable. So good luck. We will see what happens. But Huhaim says, I'm maxing both Chihuahua and the German Shepherd, most likely assuming I have the time. Yeah, the time always is a factor, but if time permits, those feel like pretty interesting contest to max. This German Shepherd, I'm a little disappointed, is only 10K to first. It's maybe not the most exciting payout structure, but to get a super flex on Underdog for $5 a pop is pretty nice. But what's up, Meg from the Fanspeak Network? They were live earlier today. Shout out our friends at Fanspeak. Highly recommend you check them out as well. Happy 4th weekend, Adam and all, says Meg. Appreciate that. I'm not sure if I will be live later this weekend. I might be too busy, but appreciate you for hopping in early today and letting me know you're here. Appreciate that, Meg. Happy 4th to you as well and all of the Shoup family. Only my second share of love, says A-Rod. Gross. Yeah, I understand. it is pretty gross. It is pretty gross. But Jamie, bon après-midi to you as well. How many drafts did you do last night? We ended up doing 4, but we did 2 on drafters, and then we did 2 multi-tabled. I kind of messed up hopping into an eliminator once people started leaving the Pitbull lobby. It was tough to fill some of the lobbies last night. Not going to lie. The appetite took a minute to fill the lobbies. Wasn't totally there. I assume these cheaper new contests will change some of that. But all in all, we did 4. And other than one Isaiah Pacheco click, I thought I loved my Pitbull team. It was pretty lit. Taking Kyron here is what my ranking says. Sure, why not? I've been willing to get more Kyron Williams, and in the back half of the 3rd round, it's not typically available anymore. So after Javonte, I definitely disagree with that. I'd rather have Kyron than Javonte. A piece of the Rams offense is always valuable. But yeah, thank you, Pumped that Pops and I got Herbert stack. Yeah, that was a very, very good team. Setting up the Herbert lad with a Ken Walker bring back. Love that team. All right, so I could completely ignore receiver here, but I'm not dying to do that. I don't have a ton of Garrett Wilson, but when he was healthy last year, he totally hit. He has more competition, but trusting talent and just a truly elite target share that will inevitably go down, but we have drafted him as a first-round pick in the past. His talent is unquestioned. I will grab my wide receiver 1 with Garrett Wilson here. So a triple RB start. We're going to stop at 5 on this one. Maybe even stop at 4, depending on what type of value I get in the 5th or maybe 7th round. But odds are we wait on running back for a tremendous amount of time, just build out the rest of the roster. Still, we're in our starting lineup. We have a running back in the flex right now, wide receiver 1. Easy to like your team the first 4 rounds, but all in all, the best running back room in the lobby. I think no question about that. Very few teams actually drafted the second. By even the 3rd round, only the The Jeremiah Love Travis team had 2 before I did, before I took Kyron, and then the Saquon Javante team. But we do see the Puka drafter get Cam Scattaboo. That feels like a gift. Cam Scattaboo in the late 4th is going to really set up some elite teams. That's what I liked about my Pitbull draft yesterday so much. We took Scattaboo in the 4th, but the running back room, the depth felt a little shaky. And like I said, I kind of wish I didn't handcuff Pacheco to Jahmyr Gibbs. But when you're multi-tabling, sometimes you make mistakes. It happens. Jamie says, Chargers bias aside, how far apart are Keaton Mitchell and Woody Marks for you? I don't really want either of them at cost. I'm not that excited about that. But I would say Keaton Mitchell is at least a full round more valuable than Woody Marks, and he's still overpriced. So Woody can fall. Woody is going like in the 140s basically. I believe he's like a mid 12th Woody Marks, and then Keaton Mitchell is like top of the 12th, like mid 130s. Keaton can fall to like 150, 155, about almost 20 picks basically. Woody Marks can fall into the deep 160s, if not the 170s. I think Woody Marks more of a 15th round pick, and then Keaton Mitchell should be like an end of the 13th, top of the 14th rounder. But I need receiver. DJ Moore, I have ranked the highest. I will grab DJ Moore. A little surprised that the Josh Allen drafter didn't take him. He went Quinshon Judkins instead. He had JSN and Chris Olave, passed on DJ Moore. Kind of interesting. But how we doing, Disbanded Brotherhood? Welcome in. Appreciate you for checking in. Who Hames? I got a Jacobs Scatabo with Gibbs team yesterday. That sounds pretty lit. That's pretty solid. The question here is, do I grab a quarterback and structurally be happy with my team, or do I grab Rome Odunze or Tyler Warren? I'm just going to draft Drake May. I rank Drake May over Jaden Daniels. We had a team yesterday that kind of regret. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Kind of regret not having a quarterback in round 6. So I'll accept my fate. This is not built to be a Justin Herbert team. I have a shit ton of them, so removing that option from my database around the next turn. If I needed quarterback, I'd be very tempted to just grab Justin Herbert, but it's not always necessary. Having Drake May, I do rank above Justin Herbert in my honest rankings. He is my quarterback 3, and I trust him to stay on the field more than Jaden Daniels. So for that reason, I expect to get more points out of Drake May. In a given week, I could see Jaden outscore him, but I still think Drake May has quarterback 1 upside any given week and does warrant a top 3 ranking. I think he is pretty much guaranteed to finish top 5. Last year, he was top 5. The schedule was a big factor, but despite the schedule getting tougher, he also adds A.J. Brown and Romeo Dobbs. I'll take Drake May in the 6th any day. But Jamie, I'm at pick 190 in this draft, but we also have IDP. Are you in a separate draft? But, yo, what's up, Jerry? How we doing? Just went to Costco and left without any dogs. Well, here's the thing. You might have left without any dogs, but did you just scarf it down while you were there? The Costco hot dog is a deal unbeaten by really any other establishment. But, okay, for the Keaton versus Woody. Straight up, I'd much rather have Keaton Mitchell than Woody Marks. I think there's much more upside with Keaton Mitchell. Woody, even if he takes over, isn't that exciting. Like, I don't really trust his goal line production at all. And maybe he could take a leap in year 2, but I see him really buried until Montgomery gets hurt. So I'm definitely Keaton Mitchell over Woody by about a round. But Jerry, nah, I just hate lines. Friday afternoon, not a good idea for Costco. That's fair. Anytime I go to Costco, the food court's also outside, so you don't necessarily need to be shopping at that Costco to get food from the food court. You just have to have the membership basically, and the line is long as fuck. I kind of just pass. Um, Quincy, what's better, a Costco glizzy or a double chunk chocolate cookie? Never had the cookie. Me neither. In all honesty, it's been a while since I've eaten anything from Costco at the food court. I don't go there very often. It's not my membership whenever I go there. But Herbert does make it back. I think I'm going to leave him for Luck is with me. I'll let him take him. I think I need some receivers, and I think double tapping whiteout is not a bad move here. I wouldn't expect Cortland Sutton to get the backstack option, so I'm going to just trust that Alec Pierce is healthy. I'll go Alec Pierce, and the plan is to take 2 whiteouts here. That's definitely where the value does lie, but Luck is with me. Took 2 week 7 buys at quarterback. Hopefully that doesn't cost him. But here, honestly, it's such a flat ranking on all these guys. I will mix in Chris Godwin today because the true upside, I think, is pretty notable. I'm worried about his injury risk. At his age is definitely a factor, but taking Chris Godwin could just be worth like 20 more picks of value or even more. There's a world where he's like equally as valuable as like Carnell Tate, DJ Moore. It wouldn't be impossible to look back at the end of the year and say Chris Godwin was like 40 picks mispriced. Maybe he's actually much, much closer to Egbuka. So needing some money in the bank. We get possibly some major injury concerns on Alec Pierce and Chris Godwin here, but trusting the positive news, the talent ultimately, I'm fine with it. And then at the end of the day, my running back room is fucking awesome. Genty, Chase Brown, and Kyren Williams. I definitely don't have a team with this trio. I don't think so. Maybe 2 of the 3, but I don't think all 3 paired up together. And it's never an issue, I think, on this side of the board to have 3 running backs that you trust in the first 4 rounds. I trust the Clint Kubiak running back. I trust Joe Burrow's RB1. It's unquestioned. No doubt about it. It's Chase Brown. And then Kyren Williams, while maybe loses some volume to Blake Corum, the contract they gave him is pretty indicative. That's not something to worry about. So I just want to bet on the Sean McVay offense. I'll take Kyren at 35, just about any day of the week. I'm actually debating if I should take Kyren above Travis the more I think about it. Travis Etienne has been consistently my most drafted round 3 running back, and I take him at the top of the round quite often. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, in the rankings, I have him and Kyren back-to-back, and sometimes I look at the ranks and I'm like, maybe Kyren is actually more valuable. Perhaps. I'm a little too low. So to get him here at 35 feels excellent. I would definitely rather have Kyren than Breece Hall and even Jeremiah Love, to be completely honest. But I'm glad I didn't try to get the Bo Nix stack by reaching on Cortland Sutton or Jalen Waddle in this draft. The bring back would have been relevant, but it just wasn't meant to be. I will take Matthew Golden. I like 3 running backs in this range for my 4th, but I might take another quarterback possibly. Structurally, I kind of want to keep drafting receivers, though. I kind of want to take Romeo Doubs, in all honesty, but Brooks goes, Stafford goes. Interesting. Taking Baker or Jordan Love would make some sense, but screw it. I'm going to go with Rashad White. I'm not going to draft a quarterback here. I haven't drafted yet in the Chihuahua. I'm going to see if the quarterback values actually trickle down. We'll see about that. I have never been to Sam's Club in my life. Not once. I don't think if there are Sam's Club in Southern California, I'm unaware of them. They're not very close. I've never been to a Sam's Club. Danimal, what's up, bro? How we doing? Nice to see you. We got Jerry saying, nah, Kyron over Love is wild. Is it that crazy? A running back room in Arizona that looks like more of a split backfield than anything else. Like, the rookie played in a split backfield at Notre Dame. He's definitely talented, but, like, how much is he losing work to Tyler Algier? It might be more work that's being taken away from Blake Corum. And then you just factor in the Sean McVay Rams versus the Arizona Cardinals. A basic lock to be a top 3 draft pick next year. Like, tell me 4 teams you expect to have less wins than the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe you can come up with 3, but tell me 4. Arizona is not a safe bet at all. Kyron has just been money in the bank, consistently outperforming his ADP. It is a safer bet, but the true ceiling, you might be right. But weeks 15, 16, 17, give me Love. That's what I care about. I mean, yeah, but to push Jeremiah Love through is going to be tougher than to push Kyron through. If all you have to bring up is the playoff schedule, it's not quite enough to convince me. But in this format, it's always relevant. You could have that point. The Arizona schedule, I wouldn't say it's elite. It's not bad. They got all home games versus Denver. Oh no, that's the Raiders, my bad. Arizona versus the Jets, week 15. That's pretty great. Then Arizona at New Orleans. That's decent. It could be better. It's not bad. But then against Las Vegas is definitely pretty solid. All right, Stephon Diggs does make it back. I don't have a tight end yet. I think I'm going to go Dallas Goedert because the position is drying up. And Goddard is definitely my highest ranked. I'll go Dallas Goedert. I don't think this team is drafting a quarterback. They already have 3. He's probably more in the market for a tight end. I added my ranks last night after I was live, and I'm still fiddling with them. But here the ranks as Khalil Shakir. I think the team, though, probably needs a quarterback. My rank does say Diggs, though. But Malik Willis, I think, is a little bit more necessary for the team just because he doesn't need to be stacked. The quarterback position will dry up. And there's no guarantee I get a good option around the next turn. So give me Drake May, Malik Willis. Running back is looking fantastic. Ashton Genty, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, and Rashad White. Receiver with Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Alec Pierce, Chris Godwin, Matthew Golden, and then tight end with Dallas Goedert. We are in business. I'm liking the team. Pretty solid with it. But Quincy Jones, Kyron can easily put up touchdowns in bad playoff matchups. When you look at his game log last year, the point totals were there. He is very reliable. And the volume for Blake Corum was mostly tied to Adams going down. It wasn't as big as some people make it seem. He wasn't as locked in as a big volume threat. Enough to make me panicked on Kyron Williams. Ultimately, the Sean McVay running back, the Rams backfield, is what I'm in on. And that's always been a consistent bet. So It's safer, and especially for 13 picks cheaper at the end of the third as opposed to the end of the second, I think Kyron is a better value. Happy to have him on this team. But Jamie, Browns, Jets, Dolphins, Giants, Titans can all be worse than the Cardinals. I don't agree with the Giants, and I don't agree with the Titans. The Browns, Jets, and Dolphins. Those are the three. The fourth, I would push back. I don't think that the Giants are going to be worse than the Cardinals. And then the Titans just have, I think, too easy of a schedule and division that by maybe one game, they will be better than Arizona in a worst case scenario. But Arizona has 0-6 in division written all over it. The Titans, I think, could sneak a win in the AFC South. It's not the easiest division imaginable, but I think they could get it done. Hunter Henry makes it back. My rank says take him. I will trust the ranking. Plus, the team behind me does not have a tight end yet. So the stack tracks, also a little discount. Titans will win fewer games in the South. They could possibly go 0-6, but I think they're more likely to go 1-5 than the Cardinals. That's my belief. That's what I view will happen. Okay. Bryce Young is still here. Oh, win a few games. My bad. I think I'm just going to take Bryce Young, to be honest. Just grab the third quarterback. I might stop at 4 RBs. I think waiting a little bit longer is at least the move. But yeah, Arizona 0-6 in division. Titans, I agree, have a chance to go 2-4 in division. I think they can beat the Texans in a low-scoring game. I wouldn't be shocked if they field goal their way to a win against the Texans. I believe in Robert Saleh's coaching enough to consider their defense getting an upgrade on like just allowing fewer points. Their O-line is very sketchy, but I think they have enough weapons this year to take a decent leap. Vegas has them projected for 4 more points per game than last year. It'll be tougher to beat the Jags, but yeah, I could definitely see them beat the Colts. I think 2-4 in division is a reasonable estimate. If they go 3-3, it wouldn't shock me either. Yeah, those division games in the AFC South are often very weird, sometimes unpredictable. But yeah, I believe the Titans are going to have a better record than the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a much better chance at drafting first overall than the Titans. Triage says, J Love is nice paired with Bijan to drag him to the playoffs. Kyron just consistently good and disrespected. Yeah, that's the argument with Jeremiah Love. If you can squeak him by, if you can have him and be one of the rare teams with Jeremiah Love, you're acknowledging that it's inherently more difficult to make it to the playoffs with Jeremiah Love whenever you bring him up. Like, yes, he's arguably more talented, younger, so might be more explosive. The rookie breakout in the second half usually is a fair bet. I think year 2 for Jeremiah Love is going to be much better because they're going to be so bad this year. They're going to draft very high, and they're going to take one of the good quarterbacks in next year's class. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we get Arch Manning, whether he's the first overall pick or not, to Arizona, and we get a Manning-Harrison connection yet again. Arch Manning throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. is my prediction for Arizona next year, and that's going to be way, way better for Jeremiah Love than what he's got going now right now. My rank says A.D. Mitchell, but I think Greg Dulcich makes some sense. I'm legitimately contemplating the 4 running back build. I don't think it's bad. I really don't hate it. They all have different bye weeks. Rashad in week 7, I think really does contribute. My receiving core has Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Alec Pierce, Chris Godwin, and Matthew Golden. I have 3 clicks left. I think the 8 wideouts is not terrible here. My rank says AD Mitchell, but I already have Garrett Wilson. I don't think I should do that. I'm going to go Jeremy Bernard. This is the first time I'm using uploaded ranks into the website, and I think before you just like lock them in every time, I think when you're actually in the moment, you always have to consider what the team is built like and what it allows. I don't want to be double invested in Jets receivers. I think that's kind of ridiculous, especially without the quarterback. So having Garrett Wilson as the anchor wide receiver 1, basically, I don't see the point in tacking on AD Mitchell. So we got the third quarterback. Drake May is our top guy. So Malik Willis, Bryce Young is pretty solid depth. They're both a little bit risky in terms of floor, but upside is decent. They can both run the ball at an underrated clip. But perhaps I should have taken Tedro McMillan. In hindsight, that would have been a better option for Bryce Young there. Maybe that would have been the better click. But rankings-wise, I trust Garrett Wilson more than Ted McMillan. The argument here is maybe I shouldn't have taken the third tight end, but Goddard, some injury risk, Henry for the stack, and then Dulcich also stacks up. Further justifies Malik Willis in the lineup. So it's fine. I am prone to go with 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends lately. It's kind of been my preferred course of action. However, because I started running back, Rachaad White is one of the last guys I think you can get away with stopping at 4. It is risky, though. Definitely risky. But GM Gunnar Ross, welcome in. Get money to everyone. What's up, Rel? How we doing? Check your inbox. I replied to you late last night. And I think on Monday, we can make a collab happen. Don't think I can make it work this weekend, Rel, but excited to make it happen in the future. So hopefully you're available Monday, but if not, we will make something happen. I will gladly join you on a live stream this week. But what's up, Jamie? How we doing? Waddle versus DJ Moore is a good question. At the moment, I am Waddle, but who knows who Hames thinks. Am I going to do another draft? If so, which one? The poll is requesting y'all's opinion. Damn, Katron here is my rank, but I think I'm going to grab Surratt. I do not want Brandon Ayuk. We're pretty late. It might be worth it, but it doesn't feel wise. I'll grab another rookie. Both of the Indiana receivers, Bernard went to Alabama. My bad. The suit threw me for a loop for a second. That's Omar Cooper, not Jeremy Bernard, Surratt's teammate. But I'm going to take another rookie here, and I'll go Chris Brazzell. I don't have anyone paired up with Bryce Young. He's kind of just there as a cheerleader. Maybe I didn't need him, but I'm going to push it. The Genty, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Rachaad White running back room. The 3-4-8-3 has its advantages. You have to be right on injuries, but if I can push all 3 through with like at least 15 games apiece, I think I can get away with it. They all have different buys, so it does fit that criteria. That's one of the markers. All 4 RBs need a different bye week. I don't want to only have 4 and get stuck with 2 of the same buys in like week 11, let's say, and then the guy that you're expecting to hit just misses 1 game with a concussion that week or something. Like that I don't want to deal with. So we will see if this is enough, but I think it's worth risking every now and then a 3-4-8-3 build Feels pretty strong, not going to lie. As long as these 4 running backs do work out, this team feels very, very strong. We got Drake May, Malik Willis, Bryce Young. The Drake May up top is all I really need to trust it. But good rushing upside with the other two. And then, like I said, this bet on the running back room. Garrett Wilson maybe isn't as necessary to hit, given some of the depth here, but obviously he's the crux of the team. And I do get a week 16 bring back. It's not as valuable as 17, but the Jets-Patriots matchup should be pretty high scoring for New England. That's something I want to bet on. DJ Moore, Alec Pierce, Chris Godwin, Matthew Golden. We need this breakout to work out. And then one of these rookies needs to contribute. Jeremy Bernard, Elijah Surratt, and Brazel. I do feel like grabbing 8 wideouts really helps this team quite a bit. But maybe the third tight end was the error. Maybe it was Bryce Young, but couldn't help myself. Dallas Goedert, Hunter Henry, and Greg Dulcich. Feels like an excellent tight end room. So, yeah, wish me luck on RB. Every team usually has one weakness, one strength. And who's to say I would have drafted a running back that even gave me something? Like, watch me draft Jaden Blue here, and I get no points out of it. Watch me draft Jordan James, and Kalen Black is the only one relevant. You know, Damon Claiborne just never sees the field, something like that. Kimani Vidal never has more than like one usable game. Is that really worth it? Probably not. Most likely, I think I'll be fine. But the injury bug could ruin me. Anyways, there was A-Rod in here, Underdogs Anonymous. Let's check out his team. He was at the 103. And he started with Jamar Chase, Jeremiah Love, and Travis Achan. He also took Caleb Williams, Tyler Shuck, and Mendoza. Shuck does stack up with Travis. We'll see about anyone else. But Jeremiah Love and Travis, DeAndre Swift and Chris Rodriguez, Mike Washington, and James Conner. So, yeah, feeling the pressure. The handcuff with James Conner in Arizona for the moment. But ideally, Conner does get dealt either trade or cut candidate and moves on in free agency. James Conner, I think, needs to move on to be helping you at all. But final round, I mix him in as well. I think Conner is an interesting round 18 or later click. I don't mind it. And especially if he leaves, then Jeremiah Love should be more valuable than that. But Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Makai Lemon as the third, Ricky Pearsall the fourth, Stephon Diggs at 142 really helps you out. And then Trey Tucker the sixth. It might be too thin. In all honesty, the 6 receiver build here with Lemon and Pearsall really holding it down, really relying on them in the starting lineup. That scares me. I think Diggs just has to crush, and then Tucker needs to be more consistent than just like one big spike week. Good luck. I think sometimes I've fallen into this trap. Having Jamar Chase gives you kind of the confidence that you can get away with 6, but sometimes it's just not invested in early enough to fully work. I'm a little worried about only having 6 with this group, and then Laporta, Schultz, Oscar Delp. I think a receiver instead of Delp would have been pretty valid. Delp feels like a major luxury, and with the 6 RBs, 3 quarterbacks, I think it takes away just one valuable shot at receiver. Like, if this is Devon Vele or even Bryce Lance, I think I like this team a little bit more. Give me one more shot at receiver, because I could see Pearsall go down, Lemon go down, and then Diggs just be kind of also injury prone. He's kind of old. There's a world where receiver burns you, but I took a risk on mine. You took a risk on yours. Good luck. I hope it works out. Anyways, that's going to be it. Our poll results are in, and it's a pretty close scenario. We have a 37% lead for Chihuahua, 33% voted for the German Shepherd, and then 30% voted for the Frenchie Marathon. So there's really just one person that has decided this. It's 9 votes for the Shepherd, 10 votes for the Chihuahua, and 8 votes for the Frenchie. So the person who did not vote Frenchie and instead went Chihuahua has decided our poll is choosing the Chihuahua for draft number 2. I will give y'all a little countdown after I catch up with the chat real quick. We don't have too many messages, but a reminder, if you are enjoying this content, if you're trying to get into draft number 2, do me a favor, hit that like button. We got 40 people watching, 20 likes. Really appreciate everyone in here who has subscribed and liked and been a supporter of the channel for a minute, and would really help out the algorithm if you're enjoying, to hit that like button and subscribe. But I'll give you a little countdown. We will be drafting the Chihuahua in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Rel says if Arizona gets first overall in next year's draft, it'll be Manning to Harrison 2.0. I think that would really save Harrison's career. If you look at his dad's history, his dad had kind of a interesting rookie season, a couple injuries, and some letdowns in years 2 and 3. He really wasn't an all-pro until year 4 when Peyton Manning joined the Colts. If it's the same trajectory, it'd be kind of funny. But Who Hames prefers Waddle over DJ Moore. I would agree, Who Hames, on that take. But A-Rod, my whole draft felt gross after clicking love in the second. I said, fuck it. Yeah, that's not a very fun pick to be stuck with. If anything, I just take my vegetables and just like draft receiver there. Even with Jamar Chase, I think I'd rather have George Pickens or Nico Collins than Jeremiah Love. But let's see who's in this draft. We got Austin Burgess at the 101, the Burgess 21. John Tara, member of the channel, is right next to him. He's on the clock. We got Snapping on Sundays at the 3. Soups is in here at 4. Ice Kobe 81 at 5. Danimal in the house at 6. In the clutch 217. A-Rod is in the house at 108. He's Underdog Anonymous, drafting with us again. And then Stitch 20, Caper 1983. I'm at the 11, and then Step Fret is at pick 12. Good luck, everyone. Hope the winner of the contest is in this lobby. I'm going to end our poll. I think I'm going to set up a new one, and our third draft will be something different. Our third draft is not going to be another Chihuahua. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be live this weekend. I'm definitely drafting 3 teams on stream today. And so the question for y'all is the Marathon, the Superflex, I'm on the clock, or the Golden. I could go Genty again, but I'll go Hampton instead. I'll let Stepfret decide. We just took Genty. I will go Hampton instead. Yes, the mini Golden will be our other option. All right. The choice was made. I definitely have Genty ranked the highest. I will take a Hampton Genty start. Happily in that order. We got Hampton first, and then Team 12 decided what we were going to do. But one of these days, I'll go back and try to mix in that Kenneth Walker, Chase Brown start that I tried the other day and got sniped on. It's easiest to do it at picks 11 and 12, but if you can get it at like the slot 8, for instance, you're going to have access to a better third round pick and therefore a more unique combo. Possibly a big faller from the top of the third round that just would never make it to you at the back end of the third round. So not today. We go with Hampton Genty. Ultimately one of my favorite, if not truly my favorite, starts on the bookend. But we haven't smoked any weed since we started live streaming. I'll give you guys some ASMR as I grind the fresh batch of weed. The bag opening. Retrieving the nugs. A couple stem breaks. Hope that's loud enough to hear. And then finally, the gears of the grinder twisting in motion. I know my microphone isn't the strongest it could possibly be, but all the levels are bumped up. I hope you were able to hear that. Sweet. The twisting. Every little factor involved. I don't know when the last time I've mentioned this, but I always keep a golf tee next to my bowl. Whenever I pack it, it just helps lock it into place, press it down, make sure the bowl is tight and uniform. It definitely comes in handy. But we'll make these two picks. We have the 402, and we will smoke right after that. Damn, I'm drafting another 3 running back team. Travis falls back at 35. My rank is 26. Just can't help myself. We'll go Travis, and we'll... You know what? I may as well build out another 3-4-8-3. Maybe just do it even better this time with an earlier running back 4. We have 3 different buys. Hampton week 7, Genty week 13, Travis week 8. Damn. Scatabo did go, so it's not as exciting. I'll go Malik Neighbors. We'll do it. No risk it, no biscuit. I wanted to go Scatabo there instead. Stepfret took Allen and Scatabo. We'll go Neighbors. Who knows how long this contest is open, but ultimately Neighbors in the 4th is probably going to be the ADP we get. And I'll take him here at the 402. Smoke him if you got him. You know it, Daryl. Let's hit it. It's 4:20 somewhere. It's also 2:04 on the clock. Let's go. Perfect symmetry. That's the official time. If it's not 4:20, it's 2:04 on the dot. What's up, pups? How we doing, Pepper Tony? Let's bring in the music, by the way. We didn't have the music in the first draft. Let's bring in the soundtrack. But looks like we appreciated the ASMR. Yeah, the golfer in me has to represent. One extra golf tee really helps you pack it down. If you're rolling a joint, you can also get in there as well. Perfect tool for the stoner in need. Soups saying, I pulled up Love to a Genty start in my first Chihuahua. Thought it was an interesting start. It's definitely less common. I think what would be the best way to have it happen is if you pull up Genty to, let's say, like 106, 107, and then you grab a valuable round 2 player, and then Jeremiah Love falls back to you in the 30s. I think that's the way I'd prefer to go about it, rather than pull up Jeremiah. But the Toxic Tower in here, yo, the Google Translate is assumes you're speaking Spanish, giving you a me, a yo. Welcome, Toxic Tower. I assume one of the Tylers, I believe. That's my guess. Emo, PPR, and BBG. What's up, y'all? Triage says, in theory, you've got robust RB and a wide receiver that can finish top 5. Yeah, the risk on Neighbors is just that. But basically, this team is saying, fuck injury risk. If I'm going to build out another 3-4-8-3, which I definitely want an 8th receiver if I have Neighbors, I'll tell you that. My rank says BTJ. The ADP says Carnell Tate. The team behind me will absolutely double tap the position. I'm going to go Carnell Tate here, and I'm going to tell myself the story that Carnell Tate is actually going to be better than BTJ because he is in the Brian Dable system. The Brian Dable system is what led to all that volume for Malik Neighbors year 1. Neighbors was on pace for 190 targets. He had like 170 in 15 games. It was fucking crazy. Last year, without Neighbors, Wanda Robinson had 140 targets for the second year in a row. Brian Dable wants to throw the ball. So on this roster, I'm going to look out for targets, and we are typically never spending this cheap of a price on a rookie drafted that high. And look what happened. My top-ranked guy did make it back. I will take BTJ on this one. We took Drake May on the last one, and there are still some quarterback stacks available. We did get Hunter Henry on that team, but had we not gotten that, I would have been screwed with an unstacked Drake May. So that is the only dilemma, but trusting my rankings, will go BTJ here and build out the receiver room. But you do speak Spanish. Getting around the Google Translate. Yeah, making it work for you. So far, whenever people get Google translated, they don't then readjust. But nice. Welcome, Tyler. Albie, good afternoon and good luck. Appreciate you, Albie. Appreciate you, Edward R. Murrow, with our nightly news report. Quincy, what does my heart say, though? My heart just wanted to get as many receiver targets as possible. By not having a receiver through the first 3 rounds and then going Neighbors, I just kind of want to lock up the most volume I can. And I will say, BTJ has more bust potential than Carnell Tate. I think Carnell Tate is a safer pick. BTJ should work out, but sometimes the Travis Hunter breakout circles back in my mind and says, wait a minute, maybe pump the brakes on trusting BTJ significantly above the ADP. The Travis Hunter part of the equation, that's a variable that really no one can predict, and it's why the Parker Washington, Brian Thomas discussion is so interesting, because there is a world where neither of them are as good as Travis Hunter. It's actually possible that happens. I wouldn't bet on it, but it's not a 0% chance. And then there's also Jacoby looming large with a big contract. So if I'm just trying to lock up targets, you're giving me the Brian Dable wide receiver 1. I'll trust Carnell Tate in that scenario. But Triage says, think with Neighbors, you needed Tate or Odunze there. BTJ, probably too volatile to trust returning to rookie form. Exactly. Yeah, valid stance. We agree. But P-Wash, immediately after at 63, the argument will probably never be settled until they actually play the games. And even by like week 5, I think there's still going to be some uncertainty. I don't think my bet with Jiri is going to be decided and locked up by like week 7 or something. That'd be pretty shocking to me. But if I can only have one, there's a gun to my head. I have no other option. In my gut, I'm trusting the athletic profile of an LSU receiver drafted in the first round, Brian Thomas Jr. all day. BTJ to the moon. So the team is maybe not as risky as it was shaking out to look earlier on. I am of the belief that while maybe you're not guaranteed to get a league winner at the 5-6 turn, the value of those receivers really just doesn't compare to a lot of the names going after. There's just a level of upside that you simply don't have access to, other than a few random offenses to bet on. Like maybe Harrison or Quentin Johnston could really deliver. Maybe one of the Pittsburgh Steelers players gets enough volume to hit, but there's not that many names, so I think we'll get just enough volume to pay off. But I could take Rico and then absolutely stop at 4. I think that's what I want to do, because stopping at 4 with Rachaad White did not feel as strong. And Rico also has a different bye week, so I'm still in the clear. Yeah, we did it on the last one. We're doing it with a slightly stronger running back. Maybe not a full guarantee he's better, but Rico Dowdle, for sure, checks out as RB4. I'm going to go T-Law because there's a pocket of value at quarterback that I just think rapidly dwindles. The MVP candidate, there is a chance that Trevor Lawrence is an MVP candidate, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, the weed is possibly hitting me. Especially if Brian Thomas hits, especially if Parker Washington pays off his ADP. And like I was saying, the Travis Hunter shot in the dark that he just really breaks out, whether he's the wide receiver 1 or just very consistent. The true upside for Trevor Lawrence is this year's MVP. That is in the range of outcomes. So having a strong quarterback 1 that is stacked up is valuable. We did not take Drake May or Jaden Daniels. We did not get Herbert. We took T-Law stacked up with BTJ, and it tracks. It makes plenty of sense. It's a good click here. But Colin, Underdog knows how to make my dopamine receptors fire with all these new low-stakes tournaments. Yeah, this week we were waiting for them, and with anticipation they did deliver. But, yeah, the 101, Burgess, has gone anchor running back with Gibbs and then took 6 straight wideouts. I'm very interested to see what happens here. Blake Corum, happy to see the pivot. That's a good sign that this is not another receiver. If I had to guess, it's going to be a quarterback right here. It might be Goff. You know, he goes Purdy unstacked, but the Devontae Smith bring back and the chance to get Kittle wrapping back around. Don't mind it. Pearsall was already taken. I'm curious to know if Burgess was actually planning to go Pearsall and Purdy. But Blake Corum, RB2, doesn't feel very good. There's a world where he crushes, though, and all in all, this team is not done. Yeah, right? Very embarrassing. Jantara fucking bummed, though. At least you didn't have Evans and Ricky Pearsall, but setting up Ricky P, expecting Brock Purdy, getting the snipe, never fun. You do have Caleb Williams. You go with Jackson Dart. I would have taken Jackson Dart here at 107. Sometimes he does fall. Not sure why, but sometimes it happens. I'm not going to go Rashad, so I'm hoping he gets sniped. Sweet. I think Jacoby Myers makes a lot of sense here with the Trevor Lawrence stack, betting on that being correct. And then because this guy already has a tight end, he's not taking both Laporta and Pitts. I can definitely risk getting Laporta back. But, oh shit, I'm realizing Goff is there. He probably goes Laporta Goff. That might happen. Goes Wandale. And Concepcion. I will take Laporta at 110. So Myers with the Trevor Lawrence combo. BTJ. The double stack is in action. We got Neighbors and Carnell Tate. Receiver room coming together, but to get this fall on Laporta really, really hammers home this team's potential. Maybe I should have gone Laporta and Goff there, but I felt pretty behind on receiver. And ultimately, my plan is to take Cam Ward at the next turn. The team right behind me just grabbed Wandale, so I'm not expecting Cam Ward to go in the 120s. I probably, though, have to take him at 131. I don't think I can mess around. The team at the bookend is most likely going to snipe me. He has Josh Allen, so I think he'll be okay without Cam Ward. He also has access to Daniel Jones, stacked up with Tyler Warren. He has options. I'm not going to be upset on sniping Team 12. That's for sure. But do the winners of these smaller tournaments still stack? Why do I get the feeling tournaments like, for example, the Chihuahua, the winner will end up not prioritizing any stacks? I mean, the final's still fairly large. It's not like as big as 1,000 people, but 200 plus people, you know, you have less than a 0.5% chance, statistically speaking, once you're in the final to actually win it. Not even a 1 in 200 chance. So increasing your odds by even a decimal point is going to be valuable. And it's just all about strategy, what you're willing to do. But wow, interesting. There's a quarterback that hasn't been taken. I thought for sure he was going right there. Instead, the Burgess goes JCM Jordan Mason. Damn. Even Jantara passes. Wow. I am pretty shocked that Kyler's still on the board. Kyler goes 123. As QB3, I don't think I could pass either, especially having Addison. They took Romeo Dobbs first, and it worked out for him. Good for Team 3. I don't think I would have been willing to risk. I think I would have just taken Kyler at 118, but probably the wiser choice. That team needed receiver. But Soup says 200 people is still a large field, in my opinion. I would agree. It's still big enough to warrant wanting the stack. Let's take a look at ADP. I'm forgetting that it instantly shows you your rank when you pivot over here. I kind of wish it didn't. That's why I don't usually have them in. I kind of just want to draft based on ADP. But having them as I enter the summer is probably a smart move. But I mentioned it. I'm not going to risk it. I expect the team behind me to grab Cam Ward. And I think it's much more valuable to me, the Carnell Tate drafter, than the Wandale Robinson drafter. So at least get the correct stack. And this guy has Josh Allen, so he might just double tap Buffalo. He takes Khalil Shakir and Kincaid as expected. Not a surprise. Damn. This would have been nice on our last team when we took Bryce Young. So I'll grab him here. Jalen Coker, I do think, is a pretty valuable asset. And I already have Laporta on this team. Such a value, Laporta at 110. I don't need to grab a tight end like I normally do. Usually, it's very compelling to grab a tight end. It's hard not to pass. Um, Austin Burgess, all 4 of my running backs could genuinely combine for 3 touchdowns every game from those 4, despite drafting lower end RB options and going wide receiver heavy. All 4 of my running backs could genuinely combine for 3 touchdowns every game? Is Gibbs scoring all 3 of them? The touchdown bet on Mason or Corum, I guess combining for 3 is not bad, but I don't believe in JCM at that price. I'll tell you now, Austin, I would not have taken JCM. I would have taken Chris Rodriguez. I think Chris Rodriguez has a much better chance at scoring touchdowns. We saw that last year. Rodriguez outplayed JCM, stole his job on the goal line after like every opportunity. I am pretty firmly Chris Rodriguez over JCM in my personal rankings. I'm not afraid of the foot injury. He's been getting healthier. He should be ready week 1. I want the Jags backfield way, way more than the Commanders backfield. The Commanders are just trying not to spend any money at running back. They are going as cheap as possible, and there are new names in the mix that will push JCM even further down the depth chart. I do not like the JCM click. And then Corum is interesting, but probably mostly reliant on an injury to deliver. More likely than not. That's what he needs. So, good luck with Mason scoring a bunch of touchdowns. The Kevin O'Connell system, historically, like other than Aaron Jones, there's never been a running back in the Kevin O'Connell Vikings offense that has scored more than 6 touchdowns in a given year. I always worry about that in the Vikings backfield. But you do have Gibbs. Gibbs can drop 3 touchdowns any week. It's hard not to like the room with Gibbs, but I wound up drafting a 7 running back build last night with Gibbs. Wasn't my favorite choice. If Brenton Strange is here, I might just have to take him. I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going to go. However, drafting a receiver might help me as well. Bryce Young is on the board, and then Stepfret needs a quarterback. I think because of how they built their team, I'm actually just going to take Bryce Young. The 3-4-8-3 is ultimately the plan. I have Laporta, so I think I can push Brenton Strange. Stepfret already has Tyler Warren and Kincaid. I think just taking the quarterback that stacks up with Coker makes sense before I'm sniped. He goes Tank Bigsby. Good pick. I wasn't going to take it, but good pick. And Aaron Rodgers, as expected, does not take Brenton Strange. We're in business. Jantara says Strange is not going to leave the field next year. I could see him playing 85+%, 90 to 95%. He's going to eventually take a break, but there's no competition behind him. It's just kind of like, are the Jags willing to run a 4 wide receiver set? That's kind of the only reason why Strange would come off the field. And I don't want to bet on that. So he's a phenomenal pick. A lot of touchdown potential. And basically, every week I'm probably locking up a touchdown. Unless, like I said, that Travis Hunter breakout actually crushes, or Parker Washington just dominates in a given week. I have 3 of the 5 Jags receivers in the Liam Cohen system That'll be pretty consistent usage. But I have 4 clicks left. I want 3 more receivers, 1 more tight end. The quarterback room is filling out fairly well. We got T-Law stacked up with a lot of Jaguars pass catchers. Cam Ward with Carnell Tate. And then Bryce Young with Jalen Coker. We're in business. The tight end room is also phenomenal thanks to that Laporta fall at 110. It's been tough to get Laporta lately. His ADP right now is rising. It's in the 8th round last I checked. I believe it was 95 or 96. And that's the end of the 8th round. So to get him at 110 is very, very valuable. Makes this team rather unique and very explosive. Because the running back room is just fucking insane. Hampton, Genty, and Travis. Rico Dowdle. I love it. 1 more tight end, 3 more receivers. This team is coming out on top. But Austin Burgess, Kozial is honestly a great receiving tight end. The other Jags tight end they drafted, his analytics are great. I heard something about the excitement of a tight end they drafted, but typically I'm just not going to believe in the rookies when it's an ambiguous draft prospect that I don't really know much about. There were like some of the obvious names. Austin says I grabbed a lot of Kozial in my dynasties. Yeah, I think a dynasty argument is pretty fair, pretty valid. They need somebody else on the depth chart, and there's just really nobody else beyond Brenton Strange. He also got hurt last year, but when he went down, there wasn't really anyone that stepped up and actually contributed. It kind of turned into like the Panthers tight end room, where no one really has any value, even though it makes sense that they would. Just not talented enough. But Kozial might change things. Maybe after these 2 picks, I'll take a look at his player profiler page just to remind me. I forget where they drafted him exactly, but I want the 3rd tight end. I'm going to go Gunnar Helm. I will pass on Brian Robinson, and then all these receivers kind of feel somewhat the same. I will take Gunnar Helm. I want 3 more receivers to close out this team. But Neighbors, Carnell Tate, Brian Thomas, Jacoby Myers, and Jalen Coker. We do have a double week 7, but it's part of the stack. Otherwise, they're all different. The bye weeks don't pose any issues here. The BTJ Jacoby Myers week 7 is the only double up at any position. Question is, do I believe in Calvin Ridley? Not very much, but my main belief is that he will get traded, and there are some outs there that could really pay off, but my rank says to take Jeremy. ADP has the fall on Stribling. Not dying to do it, but whether Calvin Ridley does factor in more than expected or just gets traded like I'm really hopeful for, it does fit this team that kind of just needs veteran receivers to round out the depth. I think if Ridley contributes at all, it's going to be early in the season, especially if they're trying to trade him. That means they're probably going to have a spotlight type of game that like makes him look more valuable on the market. I still don't know what's going to happen in Miami, but I feel like Ridley would be a pretty interesting candidate to go there, because the Titans don't feel tied to him at all. There's a different coaching staff, one that crashed and burned. They brought in 2 very, very productive weapons, Tate and Wandale. I just don't see where he has a chance to get any more than like 5 targets in a game. I really think he's going to fall off quickly and be kind of useless if they don't get rid of him. It feels like just a lot of money they're spending for no good reason. But I suppose if Wandale or Carnell Tate do get injured, he's also stepping up. He was okay at times last year, but injuries were really the problem. He's old enough for me to be concerned that he might just be washed. So I don't love the pick, but volume-wise, current stack also helps out the argument. It's a decent pick. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but once we hit round 16, there's not that many clicks that are worth it in the first place. Plus, some interesting options went much sooner. Like Trey Harris went pick 153 in this lobby. That's pretty early. I haven't seen that too often, but feels kind of legit. Trey Harris just keeps moving up the board. They literally have come out and said they drafted him to get Strange off the line more. They gave Strange a contract. Yeah, if they can make sure that Brenton Strange doesn't have to block, their team's going to be better. Let me pull up Koziol's profiler page, because I'm not really convinced he matters. In the meantime, Anthony saying, so confused, I usually watch this in bed. Also time for a rip. Really, it gets that intimate, Anthony? Usually, I'm drafting late night. I suppose it's just what happens. You're telling me I should worry about a round 5 rookie tight end who's only 22 years old? He is 6'7", 247 pounds, but a lot of tight ends are pretty tall. He runs a 4.7. Burst scores pretty high. I will say some of these metrics are interesting, but 5th round draft capital, not enough to make me panic, especially when, to Raitai's point, they did give Brenton Strange a contract. I believe that. I don't remember exactly how much. I'll look that up right after these picks. We took Surratt on the last one. I'm going to go Pat Bryant instead. And then we'll scroll down. I'm not going to go Brazel again. I think early season production, I'm most worried about Neighbors being off the field. And I think my boy Darius Slayton can fill in nicely if that's what we need. So I'll go Darius Slayton, another Giants receiver. I'm not that convinced that Darnell Mooney has much left in the tank, and contract-wise, Slayton is more involved in the offense. But here's the Koziol player profiler page. The 40-yard dash is decent. The speed and burst is decent. Nothing's bad. He's still young, but at 22 years old, I'm not going to expect him to step into the NFL as a 5th-round pick and be good enough at everything to keep Brenton Strange off the field. Stats-wise, though, not bad. From Ball State University, 839 yards, 8 touchdowns is pretty legit. 7 touchdowns his freshman year. That's impressive. And then at Houston, I will say, these are pretty good stats. I think in Dynasty, you make a very compelling argument. I think year 1, I'm not going to panic, though. I am definitely still locking in Brenton Strange. But Pepper Tony, technically, it's always every time at once. Think about it. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Dead on Arrival? Is that what you said? No, DEO is something else. You have any super fades in the early rounds? DEO. I have no idea what that stands for, but fades in the early rounds. I'm not taking a ton of Taylor at cost. I'm not taking much Achane. I'm not taking much Jeremiah Love or Breece Hall. And then I've been trying to get more JSN, but I could fade CeeDee Lamb a little bit. I could fade him, not be too worried about it. But why isn't everyone just drafting Tua or Brissett last round every time? Because they're not going to stay healthy probably. Or they probably get benched before the end of the season. Their bye week is a major pivot point where they could get benched. With Brissett, I worry it could happen even sooner because Brissett's not going to win games. Brissett is not going to win games. So they have no allegiance to him whatsoever. Tua probably holds off Penix for a while, but the concussion issues and then just kind of a mid-upside level quarterback in general, not just him historically, but also the Falcons quarterback. But in the Stefanski system, who knows? They don't have a ton of weapons, though. It's not the most exciting bet. But Austin, no one is saying to worry about him. I'll just say he has great potential, but it doesn't help that there are 4 potential wide receiver ones on the Jaguars either competing for targets. I like him in the future, at least, whenever they get rid of a couple receivers. Yeah, Dynasty, I think you have an interesting argument, but I don't play Dynasty, and best ball is just this year. So, in general, a rookie tight end drafted in the 5th round, I don't view as a threat to someone like Brenton Strange. I think Brenton Strange has proven enough. I'm going to trust him. But John Tara, definitely not my best team, but c'est la vie. Let's take a look. We have John Tara in here, who's a member. Don't think I've drafted with Austin in quite a while, so if there's not too many team reviews, I might mix it in. But otherwise, it's only Underdogs, who is a team. Why do I always say it? A blunt rotation member. Holy shit. They get a team review. I did not do the vocal exercise today, and it is showing. But yeah, I'll do those 3. Soup's in here, same with Danimal. But the Burgess, almost never in here. I got time for that. We'll draft one more. The poll results are currently indicating we'll be drafting a Superflex League with our final of the day. But let's take a look at John Tara's roster. I'm going to circle back to my roster last. Let's keep it moving. Danimals has no worries on mine. Good draft. Austin, I screwed up bad. We'll take a look after the members. But John Tara has Caleb Williams and Jackson Dart. That's pretty legit. Fine with that. Maybe a little bit of injury risk on Dart, but still totally fine with that. You have 2 top 10 plays when healthy. Bijan Robinson, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, Jonah Coleman at 167. It's definitely more valuable. I generally, though, never take him. Tyler Algier at 170. That's not too bad. And then Katron, love Katron. Very legit running back room. The top 3 are getting a lot of volume. And then there are some upside swings on the depth. But receiver, we got Nico Collins, George Pickens, Terry McLaurin, Ricky Pearsall, Rashid Shaheed, Jalen McMillan, and Dejon Stribling. Ricky Pearsall, pretty important. Shaheed makes it work. I kind of wish there were 8, but I think Stribling just needs to hit. I worry a lot about him, though. You got him 20 picks past ADP, so if that does work out, it's a steal. Likely Kittle and Colby Parkinson. I think drafting 3 right there is valid. But I think one of these running backs could be a receiver, because it kind of falls off quickly, especially if Pearsall's injury prone. But the top 3 are so good. It's top heavy, but I think it checks out. I worry about the rookie breakout, but I like McMillan a lot. I love Shaheed. It's probably fine. I don't think it's a big enough issue. It's just kind of like I don't like Coleman at all. But who would you take ahead of Coleman there? No one that exciting. The next guy off the board was A.D. Mitchell. Nah, it's totally fine. I don't fault you at all. Very good team. Very solid team, John Tara. Can definitely stop with those 2 quarterbacks. It checks out. A-Rod, also a member. He has Jaden Daniels and Jared Goff. Nice to get Goff at 113. It is also stacked up with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He did pass on Laporta in the 9th round. We got Chase Brown, Javonte Williams, Byshul Tootin. He took Kenny Gainwell over Sam Laporta. That's not the end of the world, but I think I might have just taken Laporta. Ray Davis, RB5. Pretty interesting. Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Alec Pearson, Cortland Sutton, Debo Samuel, Jerry Jeudy, Malik Washington, and Tyreek Hill. So the mid-level depth is kind of just that, pretty mid. Alec Pierce is pretty interesting, but Sutton, I can't tell if Sutton's a good pick or a bad pick. He feels really uninspiring, but it's not bad. Debo should be more valuable than this, and then if you get one of these three to hit, you're in business. But honestly, I could see these three really struggle to contribute a lot of the times. But Andrews, Okonkwo, and Hunter Henry, I think I may have liked this team a little bit more with Laporta. And then instead of Andrews, let's say we take another running back. But you might not have liked your options there. So Kenny Gainwell does offer a lot of upside. He is a good pick, but I think on this team I might have liked it a little bit more with Laporta. But you took Goff at 113. You couldn't have taken both. Not bad. Not bad at all. Jaden, always good with a Goff. It's a perfect combo. And the running back is strong enough where everything checks out. You don't need that many flex contributors from Whiteout. Pretty solid team. Pretty solid team. Let me catch up with the chat real quick. Quincy Jones, Rams week 11 play Chargers. Aren't they? No, the Rams are on bye week 11. I don't know which week it is. They do play each other. But yeah, the Rams have a bye week 11. Aren't they locked down against Tez? Against tight ends? Cole people will be a 0. I wouldn't say they're locked down against tight ends. Last year they were best against the run. Tight ends don't do poorly against them. I think it's kind of middle of the pack. I wouldn't worry about that at all. Yeah, they play each other week 8. Week 8. No, I wouldn't worry about the Chargers matchup at all. I think he'll be fine. It's just a question of will Colby Parkinson outplay Terrence Ferguson? That's the bigger question. But I wanted to look at the Burgess's team. First time he's drafting with us, possibly in a very long time, if not forever. But I think we've drafted before. In general, though, it doesn't usually happen. From the 101, sometimes it can get tough. You have Brock Purdy. Was it unstacked? It is. Kind of a bummer there. Maybe you just didn't have access to Kittle, I believe. But yeah, Purdy unstacked. Not the best, but can still work. He does run the ball on occasion. CJ Stroud and Shedeur Sanders. That's kind of the issue at the 101. You can often get boxed out from the quarterback position. You also go with 4 running backs. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, Blake Corum, JCM, and Jordan Mason. Your level of confidence in this running back room, I think, is a little delusional. I'm just being completely upfront with you. There's a world it works out. You have Gibbs, so you can risk it, but wide receivers 2, running backs 2, 3, and 4 being Corum, JCM, and Mason. Whoa. That does not feel good. Not in my opinion. I think you needed the 5th at the very least. But Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Luther Burden, JMO, Marvin Harrison, Quentin Johnston, Travis Hunter, Ayuk, and Ted Hurst. I don't think you need 9. I really don't. Sadiq and TJ Hawkinson. I think this is a pretty random assortment. This 3-4-9-2 I don't think was planned out to be set up this way. If it was, then damn, I'm just wrong about these 3 running backs. This team scares me. I do not feel like this team is... The receiver room is fucking awesome, but you should have stopped at Quentin Johnston, honestly. I think you should have stopped at QJ. Maybe a Travis Hunter or Ayuk, not both of them, and then definitely not Ted Hurst. Way too much spent on receiver to take that many. Yeah. Bold running back room. Tough. So many receivers. Mason needs to be this year's Javonte. Let him cook. Yeah. And then to mention, holy shit, the tight end room is gross. Whoa. This team needed to stop at QJ, I think. I think it really should have stopped at Quentin Johnston. But good luck. Back to my team for the final look. I also have a 3-4-8-3. I don't think I'm the only one in this lobby, but a pretty balanced approach considering some other 4 running back builds. But T-Law, Cam Ward, and Bryce Young, trusting Trevor Lawrence and his upside, and then just the random spikes on a Cam Ward breakout, and then Bryce Young offering, hopefully, some rushing value and some stackability. But the Trevor Lawrence MVP case is kind of what I'm betting on. And the Jaguars have an excellent playoff schedule. Week 15, it's difficult. Jags at Houston is not ideal, but in division, anything can happen. They have played well in the past against the Texans. But after that, it's phenomenal. It's really elite. The last 2 games at Dallas is one of the best spots you could ask for. And then week 17, they are home to the Commanders. The Jaguars are phenomenal in the playoffs. So if I can just get past week 15, let's see. Bryce Young is going to be playing the Bengals. That's going to be great. Love Bryce Young week 15. And then the Cam Ward matchup is against Indianapolis and the Colts. That's not great, but it's not the worst. I could envision either. So we will see. But I think Bryce Young against the Bengals actually really helps me advance. That should be fun. The Bengals defense is terrible. Bryce Young should play pretty well. Week 15. All right. So quarterback is interesting. I wouldn't say it's the best quarterback room I've ever seen, but it's pretty interesting. Omarion Hampton, Ashton Genty is an elite start. We get Travis at 35, a gift, and then Rico Dowdle pick 83. One of the RB4s I'm willing to stop with, but perhaps not good enough. Maybe I should have taken Josh Jacobs or something like that. But Malik Neighbors, our wide receiver 1, we're betting on talent, avoiding the injury risk. But early season, I did take Darius Slayton. I need an insurance policy for if he does miss time. And then Carnell Tate, the breakout is what I'm betting on at pick 59. He could massively outperform that. Brian Thomas, Jacoby Myers, Jalen Coker. So the double stack in Jacksonville, the stack in Carolina. And then Ridley also stacks, hoping for a trade. Pat Bryant and Slayton. Pretty solid. I mean, I think it checks out, especially if Ridley gets traded. I like it a lot. Sam Laporta, Brenton Strange, and Gunnar Helm feels phenomenal. Love the Laporta value. This makes this team feel elite. Laporta there is so valuable. Love this team. This team is really fun. Okay. We are ready for our next draft, though. Superflex it is. And we got 45 people watching. We got 32 likes. If you could do me a favor, hit the like button. Would really appreciate it. But we are locking in draft number 3. We're going to do the German Shepherd Superflex. That's what the poll requested. And if anything, the Golden is going to be open for quite some time. I don't think the Golden is going to be close to filling. Not today, not tomorrow. Probably not for at least a week. So we got time on the mini Golden. There's 11,000 entries. But at least today, I think it's okay not to do it. Anyways, I'll give you a little countdown for the German Shepherd. We are drafting in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. A reminder, this is a Superflex contest. Quarterbacks are critical. The starting roster is 2 running backs, 2 receivers, so that position gets taken away from 1 Superflex. That could be any position, including quarterback. 1 flex, any position except quarterback. 1 tight end, 1 quarterback as well. And then 12 bench spots. It's a 20-round draft, and we can start up to 2 quarterbacks any given week. I pulled the 108. We are in business. The Burgess pulled the 101 again. Good luck. Hope your quarterback room is a little bit better than last time. You also had a bye week situation going on. That's never fun. But Elton and Tanya in at the 102. John Tara in at the 103. Paul is in here. Legion at the 104. AZ Taylor at the 105. T Sizzle in the house at 106. Soups at 107. I have pick 8. as always. And then Stitch at the 109. Gerard in the house. What's up, Gerard? Rocking the goat horns. And then Jer Bears at the 11. Danimal at the 112. Good luck, everyone. We got a lot of friends and family. Maybe only 3 or 4 people I don't recognize. But let me catch up with the chat real quick. Danimal needed some of those receivers. Yeah, the receiver room in this lobby must have been weird for everyone because of how Burgess played it with those early investments. But Shamrock asking, did I ever watch The League? I loved The League, one of my favorite shows. Love that it's improv mostly as well. Like, structured improv is some of the best comedy. Like, that's what Curb Your Enthusiasm is. Love The League, one of my favorite shows in high school. I also ran into Rafi one day at a coffee shop here in LA. I got a picture with him on my Instagram. That was fun. Yeah, he can just hit the waiver wire. He'll be all right. Yeah, getting forced to taking the third quarterback is never fun. But honestly, with Purdy and CJ Stroud, I kind of don't blame you for just needing a third in the first place. But yeah, we're in here in Superflex. I see you at the 101. Soups liked the Slayton pick. Only needed Dart. I don't think you totally need Dart. It would have been nice to have Dart, but I think we took a receiver and Sam Laporta in that range. I think that was pretty valuable for the roster. But this is Superflex. Drake May's on the board at 108. Holy shit. I'm definitely taking Drake May with the 8th pick all day. I have Drake May as quarterback 3. I have him over Jaden Daniels. So all day. Danimal liked the team. Yeah, that one was a pretty solid team. An interesting 4 running back build. They look pretty decent. But, yo, what's up, Cody? Off the Schneid. Football in here. What's good, mate? Sad to hear about the Underdog situation in your Providence there. You're in Canada. Tough situation. But thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. If anyone hasn't checked out Off the Schneid Football, friend of the channel, we drafted a couple teams back in the pre-draft, and those are pretty dope. Shout out Cody Woodman from Off the Schneid. Awesome channel over there. Pepper Tony, do a 0 QB build. I'm not interested in that. Not in Superflex, but there is a Herbert Mahomes setup on the turnover there. That's pretty interesting. I think I'm going to go anchor receiver, and I'll take JSN. Probably the highest target share of any receiver again. More likely than not, that's going to be the case. It might come down a little bit from last year, but a very safe pick. And I'm willing to value some of those elite receivers a little bit more in this contest. Because you only have to start 2. If you're going to build out a roster that's intentionally set up that way, then having someone like JSN that will finish as a top 5 receiver is very, very valuable on those types of build. So I'm not convinced that Jonathan Taylor is worth that pick. I think I can get a comparable, if not better, running back in the next round. And then pushing quarterback to the 4th is kind of tricky. But having Drake May gives me a very consistent QB1 option. And I think we're in business with a Drake May JSN start. Feels pretty legit. But yeah, the 101 again, the luck is on your side. To get Allen in Superflex always feels great. It's the pretty obvious pick. But yeah, I was surprised too. I mean, 3 picks ultimately isn't the end of the world. It's not that much. But in round 1, 3 picks could be worth like a round and a half in the middle of the draft. You tell me you get like Jalen Coker, 15 picks past ADP. I don't think that's as valuable as taking Drake May 3 spots past ADP in Superflex. So I'm happy to take him. No questions asked. Drake May at the 108 all day long. But the Burgess didn't like his quarterback room in the last one. Decides to get very strong. Goes with Josh Allen, Bo Nix, and Kyler double taps quarterback at the 2-3 turn. That's pretty interesting. I will say this. I'm tempted to push quarterback with my round 3 pick because the next 3 teams all double tapped the position. I could see them reluctant to take the 3rd. And maybe one of them drafts the 3rd, but Danimal probably drafts 2. And if there's 4 quarterbacks I like with my pick here, I think I'm going to be willing to push it. I'm not totally sure that's going to be the case because it looks like quarterback is already flying off the board. But the team at the 102 didn't take a single quarterback. They might regret it. Damn. I might have taken CeeDee Lamb there had he fallen, but I'm not going to take Jefferson with JSN. Not excited to do that. I think I'm just going to grab Hampton. And if I get stuck with Malik Willis, so be it. But there's a chance I get someone better than that. And if I get the Darnold JSN stack, I think that'd be pretty solid. So I'll go with Hampton. I want one of the elite running backs. And we're set. But you're welcome, man. Appreciate you, homie. Friend of the channel, Off the Schneid. Great drafter, sharp takes, and a good time over there. But Pepper Tony saying 0 quarterback ruined hero quarterback time. Yeah, there was no way I was passing on Drake May there. No fucking chance. But Darnold does make it back. Tempting to get very strong at receiver and go A.J. Brown, though. I kind of want to stack it up. You know what? Fuck it. Darnold is valuable, but there is a world where A.J. Brown just dominates. And similar to our draft in the Drafters Superflex contest, grabbing A.J. Brown with Drake May feels very, very strong. I do think some people underestimate the stacks in Superflex. And the ADP is a little bit more set up to have Drake May and A.J. Brown from the 105. I'm basically just taking him from the 108. But it's possible that this is not the most unique way to build out a Drake May roster. Like, it's definitely possible that you take Drake May at the 105, JSN is still there at pick 20. And then if you really want Hampton at 29, you just take him there, and then A.J. Brown's still on the board at 44. It's possible I did not get unique at all with this Drake May fall, but to just get him at 108, super valuable. Definitely happy with this. But Malik Willis fell to John Tara at 46. That's a pretty dope value. Elton and Tanya do get Sam Darnold to circle back because I didn't take him. And I'm okay with that. Darnold is pretty mid. Darnold has a lot of really bad gross games. That's a team that will lean on defense. And just because JSN crushes, goes nuclear in a given week, doesn't necessarily mean that Darnold is going to play very well in fantasy. If anything, the weeks that you want Darnold is when other players are contributing. In my opinion, Darnold is one of those quarterbacks where I think the back stack or the Shaheed stack might be actually more valuable to have in terms of correlating with when Darnold goes off. Because obviously Darnold's going to have some good games when JSN is contributing, but if you're not also getting the second or third option to hit in Seattle, then maybe you're not hitting like the true spike weeks with Darnold. But in general, last year, Darnold just averaged 13 points per game. He was never asked to do too much. There were very few instances where he was asked to be Superman. And without Clint Kubiak, even if he is, I'm not really sold that he will step up in a major way when that needs to happen. But I'll be honest, if Cam Ward is here for me at 56, I will take him pretty happily. I actually have Cam Ward ranked above Darnold. He goes to Soups The quarterback position is dwindling. Kind of want to take Travis. This is kind of tough. I might regret it, but I'm going to go with Travis Etienne. A 6-pick fall. Breece Hall fell 8 picks, but I trust Travis Etienne more than Breece Hall in the Jets system. Trusting Drake May is the main prerogative, but in terms of the anchor quarterbacks in this lobby, so far, mine feels much better than the Darnold drafter. I really wish Soups had let me had Cam Ward. That would have been awesome, but I don't blame him at all for taking Cam Ward. He only had Trevor Lawrence, and Cam Ward fell like almost 10 spots. I think we're all set. But Pepper Tony asking, how are you feeling about the Chargers tight end situation, buying into the Kolar steam? I am not. Think he eats enough into Gadsden stuff, but that they are both annoying. I do not. I think Kolar is pretty strictly a blocker. He might run a few routes just to keep the defense honest a little bit, but I do not expect more than like 17, 20 targets for Kolar on the year. I'd be pretty surprised if it cracked 30. That'd be pretty shocking to me. So I don't view him as a threat. They didn't sign any receiver other than Njoku. So I think that's the direction they want to go in. But here, I will take Aaron Rodgers and just move on with my day pretty happily. Going to play all 17 games. I can't reliably say that for Mendoza or Geno Smith. And I'm a believer in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, taking the big leap this year. So shout out Meg from Fanspeak. We are in agreement. Aaron Rodgers is a tremendous value. Even in Superflex at pick 65, I'm happy to take him. No doubt about it. He's a value. But back to your question, Pepper Tony. I think the best value is Njoku, but I think the nature of the Mike McDaniel system provides a shit ton of production to the tight end position in the first place, and I don't want to be fading either too much. But Gadsden is such a bad blocker, I could easily see him come off the field. That's where Kolar, I think, throws a massive wrench into the system, to the point where if they are running 2 tight end sets, it's possible that Kolar and Njoku are out there just as often as Kolar and Gadsden, or Njoku and Gadsden. I don't really see it being very obvious who leads the team in snaps. And I could see Njoku get just as many targets as Gadsden. Gadsden also had a few injury concerns last year. It took him a minute to break out. He did really crush at times, but the game script was usually dependent on it. And I think Njoku's a big problem. So in general, I just want to be overweight on all of my Chargers. I have so many Herbert teams. I end up backstacking with just about anyone. But I do think Gadsden is more appropriately priced in the 150s, not the 140s. And then I think Njoku can afford to move up a little bit. But I took so much of him before he signed. I've been trying not to go too overboard on it. But if you told me you take Njoku in the 180s, I don't think it's crazy. I think there's actually a world where Njoku puts up just as many points, if not a few more, than Oronde Gadsden. I don't think it's impossible. Njoku is good enough where that's a variable to keep in mind. But I am on the clock in the Superflex League. Geno made it back. That's interesting. Not dying to take it though, but the value is there. Soups took Beischel Tootin. Kind of wish I could do that. I'm going to time out and I'm going to go with Geno Smith. ADP 63, and he's off the board at pick 80. I want 4 quarterbacks typically, and maybe it was a bad choice there, but I think he plays more games than Brissett and Mendoza. So he was in consideration with my last pick when we took Rodgers. I'm not in love with this, but I think the anchor double receiver helps me do it. Raitai wanted me to take Geno there. Yeah, the fall in value, almost 20 full picks, I think was worth it. Our quarterback room was not quite like elite enough in terms of depth to feel like that can't help out the roster. Because Tua goes 85. I could also see more games for Geno than Tua. And higher upside. Geno has a lot of good weapons. My Flowers has not fallen. Flowers at 69. Didn't make it to you. That's a bummer. Running back is getting thin. I'm going to go Jalen Warren today, though. I don't have many Jalen Warren teams, but I could see him catch more passes than Rico. And I've built out the receiver room well enough so far where, despite being some good values, I think I can afford to pass. Because running back is just always more coveted in this format. They go more expensive than you would like. So I'll take Jalen Warren. Pretty safe floor play. Also could catch like 50 receptions from Aaron Rodgers, but he really just had 2 great games while they had some injuries. Yeah, Gadsden was not very consistent. And if you picked up Gadsden off the waiver wire and then flipped him in a trade like 3 weeks later, holy shit, you made out like a madman. That was a steal if you were able to do that. Shout out Angus in the subscriber league. That's exactly what happened. He had Bowers and picked up Gadsden off the waiver wire and played him against the Colts, where he went off like crazy. He played him the week after, and then he traded Gadsden, and it was one of the best value propositions because Gadsden kind of fell off dramatically down the stretch. Also against the Houston Texans, a game that they kind of needed down the stretch, Gadsden had a drop in the end zone that wound up being an interception. There were some drop concerns as well for Gadsden. Not the biggest concerns, but there were times when he did not catch the ball, and it was reliably in his hands. So there's some improvement that's left to be desired for Gadsden. He was only a 4th-round pick. He's excellent down the field, but I could easily see the veteran Njoku pose a big problem for him and maybe be the more coveted target in the end zone. Ultimately, you want the red zone tight end in the Mike McDaniel system. So this year, one of Gadsden or Njoku could score like 8+ touchdowns. And I'm not going to tell you they're a top 5 play like Jonnu Smith was a few years ago, but that's the level upside we're talking about. Harvey is okay. I think I'm going to take Harvey here. It's solid. It's maybe not like amazing, but I also get to bring back the Patriots do play the Broncos week 17. And odds are J.K. Dobbins is not active in that game. Odds are J.K. Dobbins is injured. So still want to favor some playoff production in these underdog best ball formats. I think Harvey has more value down the stretch than Dobbins does for the 2nd year in a row. But hashtag get your guys. Ultimately, that's always the right choice. Get your guys. Make sure you get players you're comfortable with. Unless there's just massive ADP value staring you in the face, like Geno Smith. But Pepper Tony, we need Darren Waller to sign to the Chargers to really make things interesting. Yeah, that would really muddy up the waters. That would make it complicated. But ultimately, I wouldn't want any of them if Waller went there. You'd have to make a stance in best ball, but I think they would just cannibalize each other and no one would be very valuable. Because I took those 2 anchor receivers, my plan the whole time was just to load up on running backs, and I think Rachaad White is by far the best value here. So I'm going to have a good 5th running back. I probably stop at 6. I might take one more down the stretch, but Hampton, Travis, Jalen Warren, RJ Harvey, and Rachaad White feels very complete. No concern on getting running back points with all 5 options here, because I'm not totally convinced that quarterback hits my flex on a weekly basis. I will get some big spikes out of Rodgers and Geno, multiple 20+ point games, but every single week I'm not totally sure either of them goes over 16 points. So having a lot of options at running back while my 2 starting receivers are just fucking elite. We are only halfway through the draft, but this team is coming together pretty nicely, if you ask me. The 3-5-2-0. Not bad. Not bad at all. Off the schneid says, I feel like Gadsden is in the Waller role, meaning he's still the tight end I draft off the Chargers personally. I do have plenty of both of them, and if I can only have one, I would rather have Gadsden. In that regard, Cody, I do agree with you, but I'm not totally convinced that he will pay off his ADP. He has so much upside, though, you can't ignore him. Any of the Chargers pass catchers have that level upside. Because even if they sign Keenan Allen, the tight end position is not going to change very much in terms of usage. So if they're going to develop Gadsden, the plan is to use him and use him a lot. But I could see him just not come along quickly enough to where, for blocking purposes, they keep Kolar on the field and then Njoku mixes in enough to be a problem. Odds are Gadsden, though, is definitely the one you want. I would agree with that. But Njoku has some touchdown viability as well. I will get the bring back, another Denver Bronco. Actually, I'm hopeful I get him to come back. I'm not convinced it'll happen. I think I probably should have pivoted to Michael Pittman there. But Sutton fell 11 spots. It was definitely the more unique pick, more valuable option. And who knows, maybe the lobby is just devaluing receivers enough to the point where I get him to come back. But no, Gerard takes him. The bring back is valuable, but the stack might have been better. Aaron Rodgers with Pittman might have been the move, but an 11 pick fall on Sutton, definitely not the case on Pittman. I don't blame myself for drafting Sutton there. I was just a little too slow to pivot in the queue. But off the shot, I'm not drafting much Gadsden. If I didn't draft as much Herbert, I probably would be underweight on Gadsden, or like close to 8%. I do have like 13, 14% Gadsden, just because of all of my Herbert shares. Inevitably, I'm going to mix him in more than the average person. So for me, I feel like I'm kind of underweight on Gadsden, but it's just because I have so much. I'm going to take Golden here. I don't have a tight end yet, so I might regret this. The lobby's starting to get trigger happy at tight end. Unfortunately, it's another week 11 bye, but in all honesty, I think the true upside of Matthew Golden makes him the best pick here. Addison went at 136. Damn, what a fall on Jordan Addison. But I think Golden is a very legit click, even right next to Addison. The breakout potential is definitely there. And because of Jaden Reed's role as a bit more of a gadget guy, more of a jet sweep type of player, I do believe there's a world where Golden does take the majority of 2 wide receiver sets. I could absolutely see that happen. The problem in the Packers system is that it's hard for anyone to get more than like 5 catches in a game. The way that their offense operates is just really spread out. And then Tucker Kraft is ultimately the top target. So I could just be betting on a very capped ceiling ultimately. But for the price, I can't stop taking Matthew Golden. At 137, damn, that's hard to pass on. But some of these receivers went so effing late, it's probably not as valuable as it sounds. This Addison at 136 is fucking nuts. Like Waddle at 88. It's just the nature of this format, but like, holy shit. Receiver gets so unimportant. But I have the double anchor, JSN, AJ Brown. Unfortunately, they have the same bye week. So does Matthew Golden. So I do have to avoid week 11 with my remaining picks. Doesn't the receiver in that system need to block, or at least can pretend to block? In regards to the Packers system or the Chargers system? I think you're talking about the Chargers system, but maybe because you were just talking about Golden. At the end of the day, I'm willing to bet on the draft capital and the Packers' historic scouting department. They know what they're doing when they take receiver. Yeah, the Packers system. I'm not going to worry about him needing to block in 2 receiver sets. Most of the time in 2 receiver sets, he's going to be running routes. So it's just the nature of the system. There's not that many mouths to feed in the first place. And he will take on the Romeo Doubs role this season. Speaking of Gadsden, he is top of ADP basically at tight end. But Wandale is still on the board. And I do need valuable receivers that don't have a week 11 bye. So I might regret this, but I'm going to pass on tight end here again. And I'm going to go Wandale Robinson. At least in week 11, I have my 2 starters. I have Cortland Sutton and Wandale Robinson. I think the volume can be good enough to get by. But I'm just trusting that JSN and AJ Brown kind of carry me for the most part. And that little blip in the production week 11 doesn't crater me too bad. But Drake May, Aaron Rodgers, and Geno Smith. I still need one more. I definitely want another quarterback, but running back feels great. We can afford to wait a little bit longer. Yeah, I think I can wait a little bit longer. Pacheco, though, at 161, not interested. Omar Cooper would stack up. So there is that. Shaheed, though, I value much more. But ultimately, I think I need some tight end points more than anything else. I'm going to go Juwan Johnson. I was really hopeful that pushing Hunter Henry would pay off and he would circle back. But Wandale Robinson versus some of these other receivers is just a massive difference. So given I haven't drafted receiver very much, I think I just needed Wandale. And I've kind of just accepted my fate. I'm pushing tight end and not worrying about it very much. But Raitai says Golden is one of the best clicks in fantasy this season. I sure hope you're right. I have about 20% Matthew Golden. I have not been able to stop drafting Matthew Golden. The price, I think, is one of the most exciting in the Packers system. An offense I trust will be throwing the ball more. And a target share, I feel, is very reliably going to go up. Plus an injury-prone receiving core above him with Watson and Reed. To your point here, right, Ty? Yeah, fully agree. Watson and Reed have never played a full season either. Last year, if you look at the stretch where Jaden Reed and Christian Watson were off the field, Matthew Golden was sliding in as the wide receiver 2, and he was averaging, I believe, 8.5 points in like 3 or 4. I believe it was a 3-game stretch when Jaden Reed went down. Following that, before Christian Watson returned, Golden was actually being used more like the regular Packers wideout usage. It was really just a question of how they operate in Green Bay. They want to slow roll the rookie. So year 2 breakout for Matthew Golden, Packers receiver, makes plenty of sense. They would not have traded Dontavian Wicks and let Romeo Doubs walk had they not had big plans for Matthew Golden. The contract extension for Christian Watson is pretty notable, but I think draft capital-wise, talent-wise, they want Matthew Golden to be more involved than Jaden Reed. Will it happen? That's not a guarantee. Golden was kind of a bust last year, but he was also just a few misfires away from looking very, very valuable. He had a lot of deep route usage, and Jordan Love sometimes just overthrew him. There were a couple instances where it was just right off the fingertips. Golden was like one step away from being hit right in stride. It was a frustrating watch. But Omar Cooper circles back. I kind of had a feeling that might happen. Would have loved Tank Bigsby here. The tight end room, though, is a little shaky. And I'd rather stack up Aaron Rodgers than Omar Cooper with Geno Smith. So I'll go Pat Freiermuth. I think the team just needs it more. And I think on this team, we don't really need receiver as desperately. Despite the fall, Omar Cooper fell how many spots? 20 picks. I still didn't really want him, but Soup saying really convinced me to get more shares of Golden. For the price, it's hard to pass. There's not that many receivers after Matthew Golden that are that inspiring. Like, really, you trust Casey Concepcion? I'm not sure about that. Khalil Shakir is extremely mid. Stephon Diggs, a big mystery box that we all feel will move up in ADP, but he's also much older, could easily get injured and go down mid-season, had an ACL tear 2 years ago, and also might just go to a bad landing spot where the volume just isn't as good. So Golden, especially if he does overtake Reed in 2 receiver sets, will take a massive leap. We drafted him much more expensively last year, and I think it's worth scooping up the value because odds are he's never as cheap ever again. All right, coming back on the clock. Not convinced that Freiermuth would have been available there, so I'm happy I took him. I think getting Jeremy Bernard makes some sense. But I want a 6th running back. I'm going to go Katron because I just believe in Katron. I think he's the goal line running back in Washington. We also have Rachaad White, so we have both bets in the Commander system. Either Rachaad is just so elite that Katron's a bad pick. I don't believe in JCM very much, but odds are Rachaad has a very defined role as the pass catcher and pass protector. Meanwhile, Katron will slip in on the goal line and in short yardage situation just to move the chains. Katron doesn't have enough breakaway speed to play all 3 downs, but I do believe he will win the job that JCM currently occupies. And Rachaad White will be worth his ADP alongside him. Those are the 2 I want in Washington. Rachaad and Katron. Definitely I want those 2 players above market rate. But Batweet's in the house. Hello. How we doing? We are in round 16. We have 4 clicks left in this Superflex format. And so far we got a 3-6-5-2. And this is our last draft of the afternoon. Unless miraculously we get up to like 50 likes, but we just cracked 40 likes on the video. Appreciate y'all for hitting the like button. Actually, I have some time. I have some plans with my girlfriend later, but she's actually not going to be too busy up until 5 o'clock. It's only 3:24. It's actually earlier than I expected it to be. So, you know what? I might mix in one more draft because I genuinely don't know if I'm going to be live tomorrow. I wouldn't bet on it at all. And then Sunday is also a major gamble. Tomorrow, I'm going to say I'm not going to go live. Sunday might not happen either. But here, I'm actually going to go Terrence Ferguson. I feel confident enough in my receiver depth. Not very much my tight end depth. I will go T-Ferg to build out the roster. But this team is interesting. Drake May at the 108. That was awesome. Aaron Rodgers at 65. Geno Smith at pick 80. That's pretty sweet, even if he's not that exciting. Hampton, though, the anchor RB with Travis at 56. That was a pretty nice fall. Jalen Warren stacks up. RJ Harvey, Rachaad White, and Katron. Very fun running back room. And then receiver, the double anchor elite with JSN and AJ Brown. Then waiting 80 picks, basically, until Cortland Sutton, wide receiver 3. Matthew Golden, number 4. And then Wan'Dale Robinson as number 5. A good asset for week 11 when I have 3 receivers on bye. But then tight end with Juwan Johnson, Pat Fryermuth, and Terrence Ferguson. We're building out the depth. Maybe not an elite option, but elite upside with T. Ferg, and then elite floor with Juwan and Fryermuth. Bernard is still here. Yeah, pushing receiver was the move. I will get the stack with Aaron Rodgers. Come on down, Jeremy Bernard. A rookie I trust. I like the talent. The situation is a little bit crowded, but we have him stacked up, so definitely makes some sense. And despite the double week 9 bye, it just gives me another body for week 11 if I need it at this position. So we have 2 clicks left. We currently have a 3-6-6-3. I could argue this team needs a 4th tight end. I wouldn't hate it. I can also argue that this team doesn't need a 4th quarterback, but I wouldn't hate drafting a 4th. I usually like a 4th. And running back is done. Receiver might be done as well. I don't think I need number 7 if I don't like the options. So there's still a plethora of depth pieces at receiver, but none of them with production guaranteed. Pretty random bets at wideout. So I think I'll probably just grab a 4th quarterback because I know I want one. Geno Smith is not that inspiring, so I know I want another quarterback. We'll see what I decide. But let's go back to the board around the 18-19 turn. But Austin says, has anyone seen Braylon Allen's practices lately? This dude is fucking jacked. He's the only reason I haven't drafted much Breece Hall. Yeah, he is jacked. He's fucking huge, but it's still the Jets, brother. It's still the Jets. If anything, maybe they can trade Breece Hall if he's that good. But this is the only stream for the day, Batwheat. Not going to be on later tonight. I'm tempted to go Colby Parkinson. In all honesty, and just lock up the Rams tight end room. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Because I really don't feel that great about tight end. It's okay, but this makes it really, really feel better. Because I do see a big mix of production between T. Ferg and Parkinson. So every other week, I'll probably get one of them to hit the lineup with the touchdown. That's pretty valuable. I could see them combine for like 10, 11 touchdowns easily. But coming back to round 20, can I just get away with Drake May, Aaron Rodgers, and Geno Smith? Can I just get away with it? That is the big question here. There's not that many quarterbacks, though, that I like remaining. But every single year, there's a lot of different quarterbacks that play. Richardson's an interesting bet. He's the backup to Daniel Jones, who always misses time. Fields, also an interesting handcuff. Jalen Milroe would stack up with JSN. That'd be interesting. He'd run all over the field if he ever got a chance. I also kind of like Davis Mills. But is there a receiver that speaks to me here? Could go Kayshon Boutte for the Drake May stack. We time out with Davis Mills. Unstacked, but still, I think he's actually a pretty interesting pick. When he got the run last year, he had 3 games. The offense looked so much better than it was with CJ Stroud. Davis Mills is actually the skeleton key to unlock Jaden Higgins, Nico Collins, the entire passing game for the Houston Texans. Would be much better with Davis Mills. It's not just my opinion. Stats would prove it. All the numbers for the Houston Texans pass catchers last year went up when Davis Mills was on the field. But maybe he never sees the field. He's interesting, though. Would be better, though, had he been stacked up. But Austin, wish he got Braylon Allen got sniped. How's that dog bite, Batwheat? Yeah, right. Batwheat, inform us. How's the dog bite? Got better today. Got the police report filed, so it's a waiting game now. I can't believe that shit happened to you. That's like cartoon level shit. But appreciate that, Austin. I do think the team is pretty good. But appreciate you, Shamrock, for hitting the like. This team needs Anthony Richardson, says Pepper Tony. It could have worked out. Paul agreed, had Mills in my queue. Sorry for sniping him. Mills is interesting. It's better stacked, but he's pretty interesting. Last year, Ryan Clark was calling for Davis Mills to be upgraded off the bench at halftime in the playoffs, so who knows what happens on CJ Stroud. That offense kind of sucks, and it's his fault. All right, this team is very, very unique, very interesting. Let's remind you how it went. We have Drake May, Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, and Davis Mills. Pretty mid depth chart at running back, at quarterback, but our QB1 is a top 3 play. So that's totally fine. He's also stacked up with A.J. Brown. Hampton, Travis, Warren, Harvey, Rashad, and Katron. This running back room is deep and fully loaded. Love it. Jalen Warren also stacks up with Rodgers. But every week I only have to start 2 receivers minimum. So if JSN and A.J. Brown hit my lineup 80% of the time, watch out. That's really all I need for them to stay healthy. I could have 2 top 5 receivers on this roster. But Cortland Sutton, the bring back option, and a pretty reliable floor play. Golden, the breakout, is a pretty compelling bet. Love that. And then we also got a nice falling price on Wandale at 152. For the sake of volume, that's pretty nice. And then Jeremy Bernard, the rookie, also stacks up with Aaron Rodgers. We did not get Michael Pittman on this team, but still the team feels pretty loaded, pretty solid overall. And then tight end, we're going to get some flex contributions if necessary. Juwan Johnson, Pat Fryermuth, and then the weekly Rams guy, T. Ferg, and Colby Parkinson. We're in business here. This team is very, very fun. As long as we don't suffer an injury to these two, I like my chances a lot. I think this team is great. I would agree with Austin Burgess. I think this team is great. Quarterback could be better. Quarterback's not the most exciting, but you know what, Pepper Tony? You thought I needed Richardson. You wanted me to go 0 QB. I went as close to it as I could with Drake May at the 108. We went anchor QB, and I don't mind it. But, yeah, did you need a rabies shot? That would make sense. Soup says, I don't think A. Richardson sees another snap in the NFL. Leonard is the backup in Indy. He would be a great UFL player. Interesting take. I really wanted White, and you sniped him right before me. Sorry about that on Rashad. He's an excellent pick there. But he got a tetanus shot and some antibiotics. I believe the dog will have to quarantine for a period of time. Damn. Bummer. Superflex drafters always more fun to me. They're always different. There's like, it's very hard to have the same combo in Superflex. But yeah, my team's pretty solid. Hopefully the injuries don't bite me. But all right, let's do a couple team reviews. A reminder, if you want a team review, lock it in by becoming a member of the Blunt Rotation down below. And we have a Jontara team review on its way. Otherwise, though, I don't believe anyone is a member in this lobby. So for the sake of time, I think I'm only going to review Jontara's team. Let's take a look. We got Lamar Jackson, Malik Willis, and Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur above ADP, I'm not excited about. Not going to lie. But near the bookend, I suppose it checks out. James Cook, Ashton Genty feels great. Quinshon Judkins and Zach Charbonnet. Nick Singleton and Justice Hill checks out at running back. No issue there. Pretty awesome. Pickens, Tet McMillan, Carnell Tate. BTJ Stephon Diggs, good volume. Shaheed at 171. Malik Washington and Elijah Surratt. Let's go. Love the rookie bet with Lamar. The receiver room feels loaded. I think, if anything, you might not have needed Malik Washington. You have 8 receivers, and I'm not sure that's completely necessary because they feel really loaded up top, and you only have to start minimum of 2 every week. But Travis Kelce, Dalton Kincaid, and Greg Dulcich, pretty solid there. Love the upside, and a nice value on Kincaid as well. Kelsey's pretty legit, and then Dulcich is a good volume play. Pretty sweet. Not bad. I hope Shedeur works out for you, but that's maybe the only click I don't love other than Malik Washington. I might have taken another quarterback instead of Malik Washington. Because even with Lamar, these two may not be the best depth pieces. That's it. But, yo, appreciate you, Soups, for becoming a member of the Blunt Rotation. Let's take a look at Soups' roster as well. Shout out the Blunt Rotation. Let's also take a rip from the pipe. If anything, it definitely warrants that. Quincy, low-key fiending for another draft. You know what? Since I'm not going to be live tomorrow and I can't confirm if I'll be live Sunday, let's do one more. And drop a comment in the chat. Which contest do you want me to join? The Superflex again, the Chihuahua, or the Golden? We could also do the Marathon, but I would imagine the Marathon is not going to get any votes, if I had to guess. But, all right. Soups was in here at pick 7 right next to me. He has a 5.654. Only 5 receivers. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. We have T-Law, Cam Ward, J.J. McCarthy, Marcus Mariota, and Justin Fields. The McCarthy click feels kind of worthless, right? A little worthless. Maybe it works, but I don't know about that. Running back, though, we have DeAndre Swift, Baishal Tootin, Rico Dowdle, Aaron Jones, Tyrone Tracy, and Braylon Allen. Some hype on Braylon Allen in the chat earlier. You pulled him up 10 fucking spots. Maybe Burgess was around the turn. You didn't want to let him have him. But I don't love Tracy very much. Jones probably gets hurt, but at 114, a solid click. And then I love Rico. Tootin comes in clutch, but needs to hit. He could be disappointing if the yards per carry are bad like last season. But Swift, one of my favorite options for RB1 if you wait. So the running back room is solid enough, but not elite. That's for sure. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's amazing. Receiver, though, Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb, Rashee Rice, Parker Washington, and Chris Godwin. I actually think you can get away with these 5. I actually don't hate it. That was the one thing I was really going to be looking for when I saw the build. Is receiver good enough to only have 5? I actually think you could get away with it, but you're going to be starting 3 receivers most of the time, not 2. And that's where I'm really glad you don't have a single bye-week repeat. That's very important. So I think it checks out, but I don't like Stowers as a pick. Honestly, I think just making Stowers another receiver would help your team out more than his value. I do not like Stowers at all. That's my personal bias on it. But Okonkwo, TJ Hawkinson, and Gunnar Helm, those 3 are fine. I think you can get away with those 3. I do not like Stowers. I think Stowers should be a receiver or even another running back. I think I would stop at running back, whether J.J. McCarthy or Eli Stowers. One of those, I think for safety purposes, should be receiver. And McCarthy probably makes the most sense. But I agree with Quincy. Stowers in his rookie year is kind of cooked. Barring a Goddard injury, I just don't see the path for Stowers year 1. I want Goddard, not Stowers. That's my take. But Pepper Tony thinks Malik Willis is a smash. He's good. I don't know if he's elite, but always glad for the late night streams that you do. Yeah. In general, we're late night on Friday. I'm usually in the middle of the day. I like to have my weekends to myself, but the Chihuahua are golden. Austin wants the Marathon. Pepper Tony says you're banned. Do a Superflex again. That's the first vote for it. Do the charity one. I don't think so. Not today. Not today. No overlapping receivers, and then Dallas always gets hurt and is only on a 1-year deal. Yeah, but a 1-year deal says next year Stowers might be the move. Year 1 on Stowers doesn't make me excited, but if Goddard gets hurt, you have a point. But we had 3 votes for the Chihuahua. That won the poll. We'll hop in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Entering the Chihuahua. 2 spots remaining. These ones are filling very quickly today, so if you're able to get in, good luck. But if we're doing one more, it's going to be more impromptu. All right, we got Burgess in here yet again. Niners fan Chad is in here. Danimal's in here. And then Eagles is also in here. The Source, Ken Bean, Dame Start, Fine Bass Fishing, Crap Lousy, John Doctor 23, and then Creamy at the 101. Good luck, everyone. We're in this Chihuahua from the 105. My least favorite pick. But draft number 4 warrants a rip from the pipe. Let's hit it one more time. Smoke it if you got it. All right. Yeah, not the 101 again. The 101 is tricky. It's not that it starts off badly. It's nice to get Gibbs, but there are decisions that you have to make throughout the draft where if you don't have the correct build from the 101, you can get punished. It is not the easiest thing in the world, but Soups could not get getting quick enough. I tried to slow down the countdown a little bit. It was more like a 10-second timer that took like 13, 14 seconds, but Pick 5 Hampton is calling you. Not today. My rank says Amon-Ra, but I think I'm just going to increase my exposure to JSN and keep it moving. We're going to be boring today because the more I look into JSN and my exposure to him, I am a little bit worried I could actually get burned with my lack of investment in JSN. There is a slight chance. I just don't have enough JSN. He was so good last year. I might be wrong to fade him. So it's not that I never get weird at pick 5, but today I'm just not going to do that. By taking JSN today at pick 5, it means the next time I'm at pick 5, I can then justify a different pick. You know, I've already done JSN. Let's mix it up. But 5 is a good spot to pull up Genty if you don't want Amon-Ra or CMC. Definitely pulling up running back makes a lot of sense. 1 spot is my least favorite spot. Every year feels like the worst to draft from. I know. There's the element of being wrong that always seems to hit the 101. You know, like this year, it doesn't seem like we've acknowledged the curse of pick 1 with Gibbs. It seems like nobody's really arguing that it's not going to pay off. But like, typically speaking, whoever we draft at 101 just doesn't actually provide that level of production. Yeah. Quincy, I think I'm starting to side with this stance a little bit more. It's not that I don't want Amon-Ra anymore. I just think JSN is also extremely safe. And because I have so much more Amon-Ra than JSN at this stage of the summer, I've already gotten weird with it at pick 5. I think it's just time for me to catch up a little bit and take JSN so that I don't get stuck with a bunch of teams that just beat me because they have JSN and I don't. But would have loved a running back there. It does not work out. So I will go Bowers. I don't have a ton of Bowers teams, but that's also a player I've been trying to get a little bit more of. And being at pick 5 and just letting the board decide your fate, it is what it is. But at least I don't have to start off double anchor receiver. I get the best tight end in the NFL, Brock Bowers, in the Kubiak system, the clear top target in Vegas. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like to pull up Genty at 105, because if Bowers is top of ADP, I'm not dying to have a Genty Bowers team. I'm fine with one or the other. I'm not in love with having both. But next time we can pull up Achane. I disagree, Pepper. When Achane goes 19, I'm much more inclined to just push him to the second round. If there's one guy that's been consistently falling in the second round, it's Achane. So that's the one name I will not do. But I'd be willing to pull up Saquon, actually. I've been talking myself into Saquon. I could pull up James Cook, not hate it. My rank says Travis. ADP says Trey McBride. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to go Kyren Williams. We mentioned him earlier. The bet is pretty safe. And him versus Travis Achane is not set in stone that the ADP is correct. I have it ranked with Travis, but I kind of go back and forth, and I view them in the exact same tier. So we go with Kyren today. It is what it is. But if the number one is Gibbs or Bijan, it works. But if it's a CMC injury or like the year when Tyreek Hill was going 101, then you get burned hard. In general, we always pick the wrong guy. In general, we do it incorrectly every year from the 101. We often don't predict the safest pick correctly, and it's somebody else. But Gibbs, Pickens, Rashee Rice, I would like to say congrats to Creamy. I think that is the correct way to play the 101. I think at the 2-3 turn, you should double tap receiver and get two players you're very comfortable taking. I think Rashee Rice is absolutely the best off the board with Pickens there. I think team one so far did the right thing. That's at least what I'm trying to do. But I could also just be wrong. Pepper Tony says it's not even about the player. Gibbs is awesome, etc. Just the actual draft itself. Long waits, no control, have to basically forego ADP, etc. I think that is spot on, Pepper Tony. I think that is probably the bigger issue with the 101 being at the bookend, having to wait so long, especially in a bigger league. Like 10-team league isn't as bad, but it's still kind of tough. An 8-team league, it doesn't matter at all. I am on the clock. Would have loved Scatabo to make it back. He does not. Garrett Wilson is on the board. But despite, I think, my rank saying Garrett Wilson, I'm actually going to go Waddle. I took Garrett Wilson earlier today. I don't want to do it again. So I'll go Jalen Waddle. We leave crap lousy a double Jets team. That's the definition of crap lousy. Jets in rounds 3 and 4. That fucking sucks. So I'll just take a Denver Bronco. If Waddle was actually pictured with the orange jersey, I think he'd be going at the top of the 4th round. And my rank on him is pick 40. So it's a value in my opinion. I will take Waddle at 44. But Amon-Ra and JSN are both great lunch pail round 1 guys. Yeah, you may not win your league with your round 1 pick, but you can definitely lose it. And odds are you're not losing it with JSN. Jonathan says, I think Shaheed gets much more involved in the offense, paid him the bag over Ken Walker. I would agree. I do think they are planning to expand the role for Rashid Shaheed significantly. I could see him be one of the best clicks on the board as well. But Quincy, can you rank round 4-5 turn running backs? Well, my rank was just there, but I'm going to make this pick and then do that. I kind of want to take Adams here. But structurally, I just might hate my team if I don't go running back. So the rank says Adams or Lamar. You know what? I'll go Devontae Adams. I'm going to trust the rank. I actually don't have as much Adams as I would expect to have, considering my rank is above where his actual ADP is. So in the 5th, I think he's actually a 4th round pick in disguise. It's just a question of how healthy does he stay. That was the only problem for him down the stretch last year, but he probably sets another 12 plus touchdown metric this year, I expect Adams to crush. There is no real target competition ultimately. It's just not the most yardage. Touchdowns, though, are the name of the game on Underdog. So we only have Kyron Williams, but we have multiple Rams. We can draft Stafford maybe at 116. I'm going to be inclined to push Stafford despite having 2 Rams. I think if Crap Lousy, who has Puka, decides not to take him at pick 100, I am not going to take Stafford 101. I'm going to push Stafford around to 116, and I think I can get him. I've seen it happen many times in the past, but I don't feel like receiver can be replicated moving forward compared to what I'm getting with Adams. Meanwhile, quarterback feels like I can replicate it. Even passing on Lamar is fine. But running back, it's just like maybe Ramondre is better than Travion. So that might not be the correct pick. And then Baishal Tutin kind of scares me a little bit. But to answer your question, Quincy, my true rank on the round 4-5 running backs are Swift, Montgomery, Quinshawn Judkins. Excuse me. It's Swift, Montgomery, Travion, Quinshawn Judkins, Baishal Tutin, Bucky Irving. I have Scatabo ranked above all of them at the top of the 4th round. But that is the order. I was hopeful that maybe Pollard can make it back. Ramondre also goes. So this lobby got a little thirsty for running back points. Meanwhile, quarterback is still falling. I'm not going to take Tyler Warren. I could try to backstack Drake May. Or go Jaden Daniels. I'm going to grab Jaden Daniels. And the reason for that is because Matthew Stafford, if I am going to get him on this team, has a week 11 bye. And that's the same as Drake May. So I have them back to back. I will go Jaden Daniels at 68. Never a bad pick in round 6. But for the sake of the bye weeks, I will avoid the blunder because I've already drafted 3 week 11 buys already, and 2 of them are on the Rams, who I'm planning to stack. So that is the tiebreaker. That's why I didn't take Drake May. Soup says, plus Shaheed goes in the same round as Hunter, but he gets actual usage and isn't a corner that everyone hopes to play receiver. Shaheed is one of the best picks on the board for the sake of value. Shaheed should probably be going closer to Casey Concepcion. But that is just the cherry on top. I do think Shaheed will be running more routes this year. I think they're just going to need him to play more. The nature of their offense will demand it because Charbonnet is not healthy and Jadarian Price isn't good enough to lean on the run. Their running back by committee, I just don't think is going to work very well. So maybe I'm wish casting as well on Shaheed, but I think for the price, the nature of best ball and his skill set, he will spike pretty well. Pepper Tony says Caleb ADP is so bad, shaking my head. I know. I was very surprised that the first quarterback off the board there was Caleb. That was kind of shocking. But my rank says take Quentin Johnston. The ADP says take Jalen Warren. I'm going to go Quentin Johnston. I'm going to try my best to stop at 7 receivers on this team. And with QJ as number 4, it feels pretty safe, pretty legit. Plus, this contest dropped today. If anything, QJ probably moves up into the 6th round rather than falls deeper into the 7th. So we'll go QJ. Very valid pick. And I have multiple quarterback options. I could go Bo Nix as well. I kind of want to stop at 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends. We got the anchor with Kyron, but I think if I can find a way to go with a 2-7-7-2 build, I think I'm going to be pretty happy. And with that in mind, loading up on late round running backs is always part of that equation. So that's what it's shaking out to be. I think I need to grab a running back soon, though. I don't think I want to completely ignore it for too long. But the caliber of bet on QJ versus Jalen Warren there. compared to the running back I can get in the next round, might not be very different at running back versus wideout. So wideout, I think just the best player is Quentin Johnston. My rank had it that way. I'm trusting the rank, but better money to bet him straight up for MVP than take his ADP. That's a pretty based take, Pepper Tony. But do you believe in the Madden curse? Will the Madden curse and the first place schedule play a factor? Last year, the Bears had a fourth place schedule, and we know their division is one of the most difficult in the NFL. I do not think they win the division this year, so I would not make the bet that Caleb wins MVP. I do agree his ADP is at least a round too high. I actually have Herbert ranked above Caleb Williams. But with no Sharps and Walker gone and a defense that probably doesn't play as well, I think they will have to throw more. They should, but they won't have the better play caller. Wow, I get Herbert sniped, but I don't really care. I think Rico is obviously the pick. I need running back points, and that's why I didn't take Jaylen Warren. The chance I get Rico to make it back was totally worth it. That's awesome. Niners fan took Herbert at 91 because it is ultimately the correct pick, but if you took him there just to prevent me from getting the stack, that checks out as well. Damn, I would not have passed on Herbert at 92. Granted, I have Jaden Daniels. The bye week is the same. I'm actually really glad that Chad saved me from myself, because this roster needed Rico. We got saved by Rico. Cloudy Head. Torrey Horton is actually better than Shaheed. That's a bold stance. I could see Torrey Horton develop into a better player than Shaheed, but as of today, I'm not willing to say that. But I'm a believer in Torrey Horton. I was one of Torrey Horton's biggest fans last year. Back in May, I thought he was a really good acquisition. I was drafting him in round 18 when he was going undrafted. I chased him up the board up until the 15th round last year. I was all aboard the Torrey Horton hype train. If anything, I may have led the charge, but the Stafford drafter does take him. So if I want the quarterback 2 build, I need to go with Bo Nix right here. Or I take Matthew Golden. But actually, I'm going to go Rachaad White. I think getting a really valuable stacking partner in Washington is the move. And I know some people don't really believe in the running back handcuff, but there are some players I think are way more valuable in that regard than others. And we go with Rachaad White, who I think is going to be locked into at least 60 targets. I could also envision 60 receptions for Rachaad White. I think if he plays 17 games, averaging just shy of 4 receptions per game, is actually very realistic. Paired up with Jaden Daniels on a team I don't believe is going to have a winning record this year. I envision a lot of catch-up mode, a lot of garbage time, a lot of trailing game script that promotes pass attempts. Rachaad White is just such a good pass protector and pass catcher. He will remain on the field in the second half of games, and I think he's going to have a lot of PPR value. This is a half PPR format, so maybe I'm taking him a little bit too high, but I think for the sake of the roster, the sake of the build, and what he offers stacked up with Jaden Daniels, the cherry on top, it's 100% justified. It is a good click, in my opinion. And Pepper Tony agrees. Nice clutch Rashad click. It tracks. It makes sense. I think it's the correct move there. But Cloudy disagrees. He says White over Krosky Merritt disgusts me every time. I vehemently disagree. I think JCM is one of the worst picks on the board. But QJ has one more round to rise. I think I would agree on that statement. He needs to go above Parker Washington for sure. And I think he can go above Jordan Tyson, maybe even Rome Odunze. The wide receiver 2 in the Mike McDaniel offense, is it as valuable as the wide receiver 2 in Chicago in the Ben Johnson system? Is it? I'm not so sure. I think QJ could actually go in the 5th round, and it wouldn't be insane. But at least another round, he can definitely rise for sure. I would agree. This contest dropped today. You're not going to have to compete with a team that got QJ at pick 100. Damn, if Bo Nix... Damn it, Chad! Chad fucking won't let me have nice things, man. Come on, bro. Come on there. That would have been fucking clutch, man. I get it, but you already had 2 quarterbacks. Fuck. Damn it. I'm going to go Chris Rodriguez because the running back cliff is here. And Jared Goff does not stack up. Damn it. I really wanted Bo Nix. You have Caleb, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix. When I advance and you don't, I will be praying that you regret passing on Bo Nix there. You will regret it. But if anything, that just makes my team a little more likely to advance. If I got Bo Nix. Damn. Damn it, Chad. Come on. Oh, fuck. So close. But JCM is cheeks. JCM is significantly better than White as a Commanders fan. I'm certain of this. Good luck, man. His only productive games when he was like untouched in the end zone. The blocking worked well for him. He has some explosiveness. I'll give him that. I think he has the most explosiveness of any of their running backs. That's the only reason to still consider him interesting. But I do not believe he is the stacking partner you want. I'm going to take Tyler Shuck here. And we'll backstack him. But damn it. Damn it, Chad. Why can't I just have Bo Nix there? Fuck. Would have been so fucking clutch. Where was the Sutton drafter? Oh, no. He is the Sutton drafter. He is the Sutton drafter. That was not out of spite. The Herbert pick might have been out of spite. But fuck, the double snipe on QJ with Herbert and then Waddle with Bo Nix. At least he had Sutton there, but damn it. That's unfortunate. What? At least he also had the double week 10 bye. So like having the third quarterback is fine, but Herbert at pick 91 is a very, yeah, you can't blame him. Like it's just me getting pick 5. It's just not as valuable as pick 6. Damn it. Damn it. He did have Cortland Sutton. I don't think we can't blame that fall on Bo Nix at 115 is pretty ludicrous. To have Sutton and not take him is kind of crazy. Cloudy had the hype for White is overblown. He's our third down back at best. JCM is an amazing rusher. Rashad's contract is where I think you can push back and not trust him. The $2 million commitment is so low. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Chad, but damn it. Damn it, brother. Painful. Fucking painful. Rashad will stay on the field because they're not going to win many games. They're going to be in pass-heavy mode a lot of the time, and Rashad is by far their best receiver. My rank says Jalen McMillan. ADP says Travis Hunter. I'm going to push Sam Darnold. I don't really want him. And if he's not there, even better. I might not get Chigokonkwo, but I have Bowers, so it's really not that big of a deal. But there's a world where Chigokonkwo makes it back. Yeah, that's my stance. He took a discount because the Commanders don't want to spend anything at running back. They just want to draft really inexpensive guys. And it's like, well, last year's 7th rounder isn't good enough to just trust with the job. So let's attack it by committee again. They got Jerome Ford in there. They got Jeremy McNichols in there. They got Katron Allen in there. They got Rashad White in there. JCM does not have any job security. However, he does possibly have the best top-end speed. That is the only thing going for him. His house call potential. The other guys just don't have that. But my rank says Chigokonkwo. It stacks up perfectly, so that will be the pick. I could grab Juwan Johnson, but ahead of ADP, not dying to do it. I'm sticking to my rankings. I'm going Chigokonkwo with Jaden Daniels. The Rashad White Chigokonkwo stack, pretty valuable. We're building out a decent Commander stack. Now, just because the Commanders aren't going to win many games, I think they max out at 7, personally, doesn't mean they're not valuable in fantasy. We have a top 5 quarterback when healthy, and then an offense that's going to be desperate for points in a lot of second halves this season. So love the Commanders for fantasy. Don't love them to win the division or make the playoffs, though. JCM only had 6 games above 4.5 yards per carry. I witnessed one of them. That was the Charger game. Both of his touchdowns were just untouched. The Chargers came off a Brazil trip, came off a New Jersey trip. They also had some injuries already. They shit the bed in week 5. That's pretty brutal. So had he broken a lot of tackles to score those 2 touchdowns, I might feel more confident, but anyone can score a house call when they go untouched. Not everyone has the same breakaway ability as JCM, but it's not that elite to the point where I'm so convinced he's going to stay on the field. If anything, they're going to keep the guy that can protect Jaden Daniels on the field, and that's Rashad White. Rashad White, by far, the best blocker in the backfield. Yeah, boom bust is definitely the case with JCM. If Juwan Johnson made it back, I would probably take him here, but I think I'm going to mix in Zach Charbonnet. RB5 on a team where I'm trying to maybe draft 7 of them. I think it fits the bill. I think this is a justified Zach Charbonnet click. 6 picks past ADP, and I'm still planning to draft another couple of them. So I think I can get away with just Jaden Daniels and Tyler Shuck. Honestly, I don't mind it. Kyron, Rico, Rashad, Chris Rodriguez, and Zach Charbonnet. We've got some firepower. Hopefully we can wait out Charb's injury. But JCM, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, Quentin Johnston, and Jalen McMillan. The luxury of getting that Quentin Johnston pick. I don't feel behind at receiver at all. And we've entered the territory where they all suck. They all have gross outcomes. Nobody's really valuable at this point. We're looking at wide receiver 68 off the board. Jalen Naylor is falling, but justifiably so. I would have been in the market for Mendoza here, but he's already off the board. Who took Mendoza? Eagles took him at 156. That's kind of high, but Naylor falls all the way back around. I never take Jalen Naylor, but 23 picks is interesting. And the running back points don't really speak to me here. Tank Bigsby's not available. You know what? Today we'll mix in a random Jalen Naylor. They paid him a lot. I'm not convinced that that means anything, though. But a new regime must like him, and he did have multiple 100-yard games last year. It's a similar bet to the Ryan Flournoy argument. It's possible he does really step up. So I'm not typically drafting him, but he usually goes where Trey Tucker's going. So we will take him today at 173. It's a very good price and an increase to the exposure. But Jonathan, a huge Katron believer, says JCM is a bum. More catches this year, JCM or JD McKissick. That's funny. He had more games at 20-plus points than Omarion Hampton. I mean, he was on the field, what, 3 times as much as Omarion Hampton? And he had 3 games of 20-plus points? I thought he only had 2. Because Hampton had multiple 20-plus point games. But he was graded one of the worst running backs in the entire league, says 0. Yeah, pass protection is where he just completely falls off a cliff. Not even comparable to Rachaad White. Triage, don't understand the Chig hype. He's never been good. It's just the fact he looks to be target number 2 currently. It's the offense as well. Even if he's not target number 2, number 3 is still pretty valuable with Jaden Daniels. And Zach Ertz was able to provide a lot of touchdown production. Nobody has any faith in Ben Sennett. So it's a pretty easy path for getting on the field. Here, though, if I'm taking running back, my rank says Katron. Ray Davis has been moving up. I'm going to take Ray Davis. Maybe James Cook does go down for more than just 1 game this year. But Chig has been reliably efficient when he gets the volume. There have been stretches in Tennessee where they're sending Chig like 7 targets per game. He can actually pay off tremendously. The volume, I think, could be close to that. I would project around 6 targets a game for Chig. I don't think that's crazy. It might be 7+. If it is, he's going to smash because Jaden Daniels likes to throw touchdowns to the tight end position. So that's all that was missing for Chig historically. The yards have been there. The volume's been there. It's just a matter of touchdowns. In Washington, it's a system that usually leads to a lot of touchdowns at tight end. So that's the argument. It also stacks up, so it even makes more sense, but there's not that much target competition for him in the first place. Katron made it back. Jaden Blue is a little interesting, not going to lie. I have a lot of Katron. I already have Rashad. I think I'm actually going to mix in Jaden Blue. Katron has become one of my most drafted running backs very quickly. He's above 20% last I checked, so I think I'm capable of just mixing him in where it makes more sense. I have Rachaad White, so I think part of the argument for Katron is a little bit anti-Rachaad White. So on this team, the narrative I want to buy into and just really commit with is that Rachaad White is not just in a committee, but like overwhelmingly the running back 1 in Washington. And even Katron isn't as worth it where he goes. He's not the best value. Like sometimes I treat him, but Jaden Blue, his price has been moving up. And as much as I'm not a huge believer in Jaden Blue, I think it has moved up enough to scare me that I want to start taking him before it's too late. I don't want to look up and see that Jaden Blue is being drafted right next to Tyler Algier in the 15th round, let alone higher. I'd be pretty worried about my exposures because there I really don't want to take him. Here, I'm not that upset to take him. I still think Malik Davis could be more involved than him, but you told me Javonte Williams goes down. you're probably going to want some shares of Jaden Blue. Probably. Chad probably donating $4 in this draft, but the reaction was priceless. Man, you couldn't have just given me Bo Nix, bro. Couldn't have let me have him. I need another receiver for sure. I'm going to mix in Devon Vele. I don't have a single stacking partner for Tyler Shuck. Let's grab one of them. I'm not really counting on Vele, but I do think it makes sense on this team. All right, let's remind you how this team went. We have a 2-7-7-2 from the 5 slot. We did not take an early running back other than Kyron Williams. He was our anchor today. So Jaden Daniels and Tyler Shuck are the QBs. Jaden at 68 feels excellent. And we kind of wanted Stafford, so that's why we passed on Drake May. We got more back stacks reliably for Jaden Daniels, though. Quarterback, I think, is fine. I think it checks out. I trust Tyler Shuck. But Kyron Williams, our anchor, better pay off. If Corum pays off, then I'm screwed. But what's interesting in this lobby, I kind of wanted to take Corum with Kyron a little bit. I wouldn't have been opposed to it. But Corum went early in this one. Corum went pick 80. Corum went fucking high. Corum was way overpriced, if you ask me. Like, a full round over Rico Dowdle. That team passed twice. I think Dame Star made a big mistake with Corum and Manungai over Rico Dowdle. I wouldn't have done that. But I got lucky. I got Rico Dowdle at pick 92. That was a gift, in my opinion. The Rashad click, some say it was clutch. It's correlated and stacks up at the least. I think he's a reliable pass catcher. But then Chris Rodriguez, Zach Charbonnet, the true home run swing, and then Ray Davis and Jaden Blue, possibly two of the most valuable contingent upside handcuffs in the league. Definitely offenses we would trust if they got the job. So I think my running back room paid off pretty well, especially the Chris Rodriguez RB4. I may not have the best RB2, but I have really, really good depth in the middle section of my depth chart and down the stretch, elite upside in the final weeks in the playoff games. So I like this team a lot. Running back worked out well. And then our receiver room, I think, is great with JSN, Waddle, Adams, and Quentin Johnston. I think those 4 are good enough where that's really the bet I'm trusting and should pay off. But maybe you might think it's too thin. Maybe the 7th running back was a luxury I couldn't have afforded. Because McMillan needs to hit. I think he will. I think he's a good deep shot waiting to happen. Baker really trusts him down the field. I think he can give you a 40-yard touchdown more reliably than most players behind him. So I like that pick a lot. Jalen Naylor, don't take him often, but 23 picks past ADP. That's almost 2 full rounds. It's definitely a more interesting price tag. And then Devon Vele, finally we get the stack. But what makes this team awesome isn't just that Okonkwo stacks up, but Bowers gives us that truly elite upside every single week. And we also get some flex contributions at tight end where we only need 3 receivers most of the time. I think this team is pretty compelling. I would have loved it more, though, had I gotten Bo Nix. I took Chris Rodriguez instead of Bo Nix, and it's possible that Chris Rodriguez would have made it back where I took Tyler Shuck. So, damn it, Chad. Niners fan wouldn't let me have any fun. I missed out on the Herbert stack and the Bo Nix stack by just 1 pick. They both fell way too far, however. And honestly, I don't blame him at all. I would have sniped someone as well. Cortland Sutton makes the Bo Nix pick make even more sense. But he's a member. I will review the team. I'm just kind of sad how it all went down. It was a bummer. It was pretty unfortunate, but we did not have the best of luck today. It could have been just a little bit better had we gotten Bo Nix or Justin Herbert, but preposterous reasoning, in my opinion. Zach Ertz bombed with Daniels because he's a great football player. Zach Ertz did... Oh, boomed. Chig is just an athlete. Chig did nothing in 2025. Literally 0 target competition. If you don't want to see the path, go for it, man. You don't have to take him. I like the landing spot. Chig, I think, is locked into about 80 plus targets this year. And I think in that offense with little competition, even if they sign Stephon Diggs, I still like Chig's price quite a bit. I could see Hunter Henry be more valuable. I think Juwan Johnson's also an interesting bet. Strange is possibly more valuable, but I think the more obvious argument right now is in favor of Chig because of the lack of target competition. He could have over 100 targets. So if you don't want to believe, be my guest. I don't mind it though. I'll take Chig stacked up over Juwan Johnson there. Happily. I think I'm going to move on from our JCM argument though, just to catch up with the chat. First Down Fantasy, checking in, just back from one of the England versus Congo game in Atlanta. Don't ask me how much of a beer cost. If I had to guess, if it's like SoFi Stadium, $18. I'm going to guess $18. But Blue hype will blow up during training camp, right? There's going to be a point where Jaden Blue gets much more expensive, and I don't want to spend that price at all. So I'm getting in now before I regret just never taking him. And honestly, I feel like it could happen any week now. Like, give it 2 weeks and Jaden Blue is like going in the 160s. It's possible. I wouldn't be entirely shocked. Maybe that's too fast of a climb. Sean Tucker, though, never really went above 170. I could see Jaden Blue versus Sean Tucker be a discussion soon. Yeah, at least it's much better than last year. I would agree. It's what we were paying to take Miles Sanders last year, this late. But yeah, my quarterback definitely needs as much help as he can get. He's had a lot of injury issues in the past, but he could definitely use that advice, Zero. Learn to slide. Always valuable. I think I'm going to move on from the JCM discussion. Blue is good, though. Immaturity tanked him last year, but seems like he's grown up a bit. Hopefully, you would think not playing kind of humbles you. But I'll probably take a look, Burgess, but I don't know if I have the time, honestly. It's after 4:20, so I missed the window. We'll take a little rip. That was pretty weak. There wasn't much left in the pipe. Yeah, we're still going after 3 hours. I'm not going to be live tomorrow and possibly not on Sunday, so we're getting it in now. Appreciate that. We didn't go 12 hours, though. We only did 10, but that was a really dope time. Appreciate it. But, yeah. Is there any Keenan Allen news? There's been some rumors, but nothing tangible. In my opinion, he's fielding offers, and I think he will play. I think he's willing to get back on the field. I don't think he's going to play with the Chargers, though. I think the most likely landing spot is the Colts. We'll see, though. But C-Rod had a much higher success rate than JCM on the same team. Chig did nothing since Ward sucked. Chig literally had Dallas Goedert production, just minus the 11 touchdowns. Yeah, Chig is really just missing touchdowns. I stand by everything I said when I was making the argument for Chig. I believe in it. You don't have to if you don't want to. Be my guest. I'll take more of him. But, all right. I told you what my team looked like. Let's review some other teams in this lobby. We had Niners fan, a member right next to me. Do we have anyone else? Nobody who's a member. So if Burgess wants a team review, he requested it. Sure, but next time I think you'll have to be a member because I think I already reviewed one earlier today. But, okay, Niners fan, the quarterback room is elite. Let's be honest. Caleb, he took a little too expensive. If he had Jaden Daniels, this team would be even better. Maybe he should have taken Jaden Daniels or Drake May. But Caleb did stack with Luther Burden. He got Herbert at 91. I cannot blame him for taking that. I can't blame him at all. There's enough back stacks to warrant it. And he should be going around pick 70. So, of course, I wanted him. It wasn't in the cards. It is what it is. Maybe had I not taken Quentin Johnston, then Chad wouldn't have taken Cortland Sutton, and then I would have gotten Bo Nix. But he also took Bo Nix at 115. That's a phenomenal discount as well. Bo Nix already goes too late at 107 there. So it's an elite quarterback room. Amazing production, but damn, it would have been nice to see one of them on my team. But Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Baishal Tutin, Brian Robinson, and Katron Allen. Very fun running back room. I think these top three check out. No issue there. Some injury risk, maybe a fall off in Miami, but still a pretty viable bet. And then Baishal Tutin kind of sucks, but everything kind of points to him having a lot of touches in that offense. That's very valuable. So I get it. Waiting for B-Rob, a valuable handcuff, and then Katron, breakout candidate. Love the running back build. No issue there. You're also a Niner fan, so CMC at pick 6 checks out. Luther Burden, Cortland Sutton, Matthew Golden is number 3. Wan'Dale Robinson, Trey Tucker, Stribling, Branch, and Pat Bryant. Trey McBride and Oronde Gadsden. At least you have the stack with Gadsden. But damn, the price you paid for wideouts, kind of gross. You got Wan'Dale to circle back, so you kind of lucked out. But, yeah, ultimately I cannot blame you at all for taking who you did. You needed receiver. You probably should have just taken Wan'Dale there because Diggs was already off the board. But you really lucked out playing the board correctly, getting Wan'Dale to circle back. Good job, Niners fan. Honestly, your team is pretty loaded. Your team is weird at receiver, but the elite tight end, running back room needs to stay healthy, but should be great. And then quarterback is just so good that's going to really help you advance, more likely than not. So good luck at wideout. I love the golden bet, so interesting, solid team. I wish I had Bo Nix on my team, though. Damn, I wish I had Bo Nix. Zero says, I don't know why, but every Caleb team feels weak at quarterback. Right. The Herbert and Bo makes it what it is. It's not the fact that Caleb is QB1. It's that he got such a good fall on Herbert and Bo Nix. If anything, this team could be better with Drake May or Jaden Daniels. Caleb was QB5 first year with all those guys, and you don't believe he was QB5, like points per game or total. I think it was points per game because he missed like 2 or 3 games. All right. We're going to move on, though, to the Burgess' team. He has Burrow and T-Law. Different buys can definitely get away with that. David Montgomery, JCM, Jordan Mason. Again, you took this bet on both of them. I don't believe in it. I think it's gross. Mason has a path, but I just don't think he's ever going to be good enough to really crush. And then JCM, the chances are pretty slim, in my opinion. But Woody Marks, also gross, especially handcuffed to Dave Montgomery. Don't like that at all. Braylon Allen, you like him again. Then George Holani. This is another bold running back room. At least it's not Blake Corum RB1. But Dave Montgomery and Woody Marks feels a little bit odd. Yeah, I don't love the running back room. Again, not a big fan there. I think there's too much confidence in JCM and Mason. And same goes for all of the depth pieces, really. But receiver has Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Mike Evans, Harrison, Travis Hunter, and Tank Dell. That's pretty great. The Jamar Chase stack, always valuable. And then Travis Hunter does stack with T-Law, but that's the only one. Laporta, Hawkinson, and Kenyon Sadiq. Yeah, give me... This is weird. Like, structurally, it's okay, but I just don't like it player take-wise. Like, one too many early receiver... Give me a better running back at RB2 instead of Marvin Harrison. I think I would make that a different pick for sure. Pollard and Ramondre were off the board, so I don't totally blame you, but yeah, I think starting off 4 receivers, Montgomery and then Harrison. If you really trust Harrison, then maybe double tap running back at the 4-5 turn. But I think this team needed a running back sooner than JCM. That's what I would change. But I think that's going to be it for today. I want everyone to have a awesome 4th of July. So best of luck to everyone. Do not blow off your fingers. Do not pull a Jason Pierre-Paul. Do not blow off your eyeball. Do not pull a Najee Harris. You don't want to be wearing an eye patch for the rest of the year, let alone the rest of your life. You want to maintain 10 fingers. So just a reminder, be cautious out there. Looking out for you. If you're going to light something, light a joint. Don't light a fuse. Keep it copacetic. But happy birthday to our country. 250 years to our country. That's a milestone for sure. But cheers to everyone. I will not be live tomorrow, and I don't know about Sunday. Odds are I'm not. If I am, it'll be late night. So look out for that. But there's a bunch of other streamers in the community here on YouTube. Some friends of the channel in the chat today, like Who Hames, as well as Off the Schneid. Hartman FF also in here, as well as Jiri Football and many others whose names might be escaping me at the time. Oh, the Toxic Tower also chimed in today. Yeah, Toxic Tower, shout out. Emo Cowboy, PPR Tyler, and Best Ball Guy. Shout out, Toxic Tower. But, yeah, availability also very important. Rashad should help in that regard for JD5. But have a great 4th of July, everyone. Peace out. Enjoy. And, yeah. Proof I have 10 fingers. We'll prove it again next time I see you. Peace out. Bye-bye.